Is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening.
3, 2, 1.
Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dominic, it doesn't feel like a hump day to me.
It is a hump day. Happy hump day to you, my dear friend Crudy, and all of our fine listeners out there in the world.
Well, maybe I'm absolutely wrong, Dom. A headline, maybe the headline does make it feel like a hump day, and I might add that we're going to have a fine guest, a sorted out, our Mueller time expert, former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle joins us a little bit later at the bottom of this hour, Dom. And also our buddy Batman, Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He'll be joining us on the airwaves after 4. But, Dom, I'd like to write the headline for the Washington Post. This David Farenhold piece that you posted should more accurately be headlined, Trump did too pay a porn star.
Oh, God.
You want to jump into this article?
Let's do it, Crudy. I'll lead us off. In a new financial disclosure payment, President Trump reporting reimbursing his personal attorney, Michael Cohen, for an expenditure over $100,000 last year, an apparent reference to the $130,000 that Cohen paid to ensure the silence of an adult film actress who claimed she'd had an affair with Trump.
Look at that side boob.
Why do you think they must do all these, hedging and asterisking? Still, I mean, is it not readily apparent? Trump did the porn star.
In 2016, expenses were incurred by one of Donald J. Trump's attorneys, Michael Cohen. Trump reported in a footnote of his official personal financial disclosure report required by top federal officials. Mr. Cohen sought reimbursement of those expenses, and Mr. Trump fully reimbursed Mr. Cohen in 2017. The category of value would be $100,000 to $250,000, and the interest rate would be 0.
Oh,
that's a hell of a deal. Dom, you realize in these federal disclosures, they basically give ranges, so between $100,000 and $250,000, but apparently, probably the Stormy payment, but so many playmates, so many porn stars,
so little
so
time.
many NDAs, Dom. One doesn't know for sure, but please continue.
Yeah, the statement was included on the 45th page of a 92-page disclosure. Of course, earlier this year, Crudy, Trump told reporters on Air Force One that he had not known about Cohen's payment to Daniels. "Do you know where we got the money to make the payment?" a reporter asked at the time. "No," Trump said, "I don't." More recently, former New York Mayor Rudolph Giuliani, newly hired as part of Trump's legal team, said in interviews that Trump had reimbursed Cohen for the payment. Trump this month also acknowledged on Twitter that he paid Cohen through a monthly retainer to stop what Trump called, quote, false and extortionist accusations. The payment by Cohen to actress Stormy Daniels was made in the last weeks before the 2016 presidential election as part of a non-disclosure agreement meant to ensure Daniels would not speak about the alleged affair publicly. And
how's that NDA worked out for them?
Stormy Daniels coming to Wisconsin, next month, Crudy?
June 8th and 9th. June 8th. Right down the road from the hidden bunker I'm in right now in Middleton. June 9th. in Milwaukee.
And we are doing our best, working some back channels. Hopefully, maybe we can strike an interview with Stormy. Keeping our fingers crossed. No promises, but, the fine investigative reporters that we are, Crudy, we have to use every tool in the toolbox.
Now, Dom, are we going to have to pay at the door like all the other schlubs? They are selling Eventbrite tickets for Stormy Daniels. You know what the current prices are?
I have not seen. Have you seen the price?
I have.
What?
It's also arranged, Dom.
Yeah.
$15 for simple access to the Gentleman's Club. About $360. I suspect that's for access to what? The VIP room? You better get a lap dance from Stormy for that kind of money.
No doubt. Continuing in the Washington Post article, after the payment to Daniels was first revealed by the Wall Street Journal, Cohen acknowledged making the payment himself. He said he had not been reimbursed by Trump's company or Trump's campaign. Neither the Trump organization nor the Trump campaign was party to the transaction with Ms. Clifford, and neither reimbursed me for the payment either directly or indirectly, he said. Cohen declined at the time to answer the Washington Post questions about whether Trump had personally reimbursed him or if he knew about the payment. The Office of Government Ethics, which oversees the financial disclosure documents, said in its own footnote that it had concluded Trump had to report the payment to Cohen in a section that detailed Trump's legal liabilities over the course of 2017 and the first half of 2018. Here's a quote from the agency. OGE has concluded that the information related to the payment made by Mr. Cohen is required to be reported and that the information provided meets the disclosure requirements for the reportable liability. So apparently sleeping with a porn star, allegedly, is a liability.
Well, only if you had to pay for, what, an attorney, Dom? Only if it's got to be on your legal defense disclosure. Well, there's some other big news in the whole Russia-Trump collusion thing. But what I would point out, I'm sorry, I was getting a little echo there for just a moment. The Washington Post, and this one, Aaron Blake, some takeaways, Dom.
We love takeaways.
From the Trump Tower meeting testimony. Now, obviously, Stormy, more salacious, perhaps more to our flavor of the day, Dom.
Yeah.
But this Trump Tower stuff, seemingly each and every day we see more and more evidence of, yes, collusion. As Aaron Blake reports, the Senate Judiciary Committee released 2,500 pages of congressional testimony on Wednesday. The trove of information provides a new window into that ill-fated June 2016 Trump Tower meeting before which Donald Trump Jr. was promised damaging Russian government information about crooked Hillary Clinton from Natalia Veselnitskaya, who turned out to be a Kremlin-connected lawyer. The episode has been the centerpiece of special counsel Mueller's investigation of whether there was any collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And now we know much more about what the people who were there said under oath about it. And Dom, let's take turns here, but I'm going to go first.
I know you are.
Here are some of the key findings. Bullet point number 1, Trump Jr., Fredo Jr., Dom, was clearly anxious for dirt on Hillary. One line from Trump Jr.'s email exchange with the publicist for a Russian musician stood out. I love it.
I love it.
Publicist Rob Goldstone had said his source could provide official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia, and said the information came from Russia's crown prosecutor, a position which doesn't exist but is roughly equivalent to the Attorney General in Goldstone's native Britain. Trump Jr.'s response, seems we have some time, and if it's what you say, I love it.
I can handle things, I'm smart.
Especially later in the summer. In his testimony to Congress, Trump Jr. confirmed that he was talking about the opposition research when he said, I love it,
Crudy, this is key because Trump Jr. wasn't completely clear about what he was talking about in the email. It suggests that he was eager to have the meeting specifically because of the opposition research that was supposedly being supplied by official sources from the Russian government. His initial explanation of the meeting suggested that it was primarily about adoptions, although that explanation quickly fell apart. You know, Crudy, it's all about the Russian adopted children. It's for the children. It's about the children.
Well, even the Russia adoption issue is still about sanctions in the Magnitsky Act, right?
Yes. At the very minimum, they were discussing sanctions, which they're not supposed to do either. Crute, I'll take number 2, and then we'll go to a break. Number 2 of the takeaways from the information released by the Senate Judiciary Committee today. Trump Jr. says President Trump may have personally influenced misleading explanations about the meeting. The Post The Post report that the president dictated some of the misleading explanations for the meeting, which aides worried could open him up to charges of a cover-up. Trump Jr. said he didn't know about his father's direct involvement and actively discouraged it, but he said he thinks Trump may have influenced the messaging about the meeting through then White House communications aide Hope Hicks. Here's a little Q&A. Question: to the best of your knowledge, did the president provide any edits to the statement or other input? Answer: he may have commented through Hope Hicks. Question: and do you know if his comments provided through Hope Hicks were incorporated into the final statement? Answer: I believe some may have been, but this was an effort through lots of people, mostly counsel. Mostly counsel. Got to throw in the mostly counsel. Maybe somehow you can hide behind attorney-client privilege. I'm not clear. But Trump Jr., he's not a very smart guy.
The fact that it's a collaborative effort, that everyone shared their homework, is not going to get the president of the United States, Donald Trump, off the fact that he helped draft this. And it was incorporated according to his own son, Fredo Jr.'s testimony. And I saw a different article. Who's the Republican co-chair? It's Burr and Warner. The Republican said, we have no reason to disagree with the assessment, even though much of this report drafted by the Dems and completely contradicts the House Republican version. So the bipartisan Senate report basically says, yes, collusion, but, no collusion. I got Devin Nunes's memo. Come back with us, Devil's Advocates, 844-967-2789, and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle. He'll help us sort it out in about 15 minutes. You better stick around.
Look at that side boob.
I find it sexy.
Check out this side boob.
To me, this is a very, very sexy subject.
How about that side boob? That turn you on? Well, it shouldn't, because that's my side boob.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. My name is Harvey Lauer, and I'm 82. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My folks got me a little radio in 1940, and that was the best Christmas present I ever got. When I was 11 years old is when I started to play music, play the piano, and then the accordion, and then the cello. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
live via phone. He is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle.
Firing Bob Mueller doesn't mean that the prosecution, the investigation goes away. Pardoning one individual does not mean that you undo everything that has been done before. So this notion that somehow by shutting down and by pardoning and by sort of stopping the process, you're also stopping the wheels of justice is simply, again, it's simply wrong.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
5 9s, your local single-source IT solutions provider, specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 59s.com.
Women want them, men want to be them. Tom and Crute are the Devil's Advocates.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming live video on the YouTube and Facebook pages. On Twitter at Devil Radio on the talk text line, 844-967-2789.
Dominic, former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle joins us very soon to help us sort out all this breaking news. And I'd also like to mention I passed a small personal milestone a little bit earlier today, and it's important to me. I'd like to share it with the audience.
Oh, you cracked 280, huh, buddy?
You know, it is regarding my weight. I now weigh less than Donald Trump claims that he weighs.
Congratulations.
It's down to like 238 today, and which for me is a little skinnier than I used to be.
You still got better hair than he does.
Sure. Number 3 from the Washington Post piece. We're talking about what? The 7 takeaways, Dom. The 7 big things we just learned about the Trump Tower meeting testimony. This, the Senate testimony, not the House Republican, release of the testimony. But I'm jumping in here. Trump Jr. says he doesn't recall whether a key call with a blocked phone number was his papa. I'm just jumping right to the timeline, Dom. Here's the question. Does your father use the blocked number on his cell phone or any other phone that you call him on? I don't know. Of course he knows. So you don't know whether this might have been your father? I don't. Philip Bump lays out the timeline in detail here. June 6, 4:04 p.m., Agelroth calls Trump Jr. Call log suggests the call took 1 to 2 minutes. June 6, 4:27, 20 minutes later, Trump Jr. is in contact with the blocked number. It lasts for 4 minutes. That'd be a record for Trump. I hear 3 minutes is tops. It's not clear if the call was outgoing or incoming. The testimony suggests that it was an incoming, but a report from Senate Democrats suggests it was outgoing. Any or an outie, Dom, who can keep track? June 6, 4:31 p.m., Trump Jr. calls Agelroth. The call lasts for 3 minutes. June 6, 4:38 p.m. Trump Jr. emails Gladstone, Rob, thanks for the help. Gladstone, the maker of the little Trump Tower meeting, Dom.
Number 4, Gladstone suggests Veselnitskaya was pitched as having Russian government connections. Veselnitskaya has denied she was working for the Kremlin despite her ties to it, but Goldstone suggested he was led to believe she was very closely tied. Goldstone said Emin Algarov pitched Veselnitskaya as being well-connected. Quote, I say well-connected to what, the power grid? And Emin said, well-connected, Goldstone said. Goldstone's initial email to Trump Jr. said the information came from the Russian government. This suggests he wasn't guessing or speaking loosely.
Dom, I'm jumping forward to number 5. Meeting attendees said no valuable information was provided. It's clear that Trump Jr. intended to get opposition research from Veselnitskaya in the meeting, but part of his defense has long been that he was unsuccessful in doing so and that the meeting was a bust. So even if you believe that the meeting represented attempted collusion with a Kremlin-aligned lawyer, the whole thing never actually came to fruition. That must be the dirt, not the meeting, because the meeting happened.
Right.
And people who attended the meeting generally agreed that it didn't include the transmission of damaging information. A brief quote, Dom, I don't know what would be deemed damaging, but I didn't hear anything that I would deem to be damaging, Gladstone said, the meeting maker. And I didn't see anybody react in a way that I believe people would react if they were heard damaging information. Trump Jr. would probably have an erection and be drooling down his chin, Dom.
Number 6, Goldstone vented about the meeting being an awful idea. But I'm going to skip to number 7. We got about 45 seconds left. Paul Manafort's notes. Here are some of the actual notes. Offshore-Cyrus. 133 million shares. Companies, not invest, loan. Value in Cyprus as Inter. Illici, active sponsors of RNC. Browder hired Joanna Glover, tied to Cheney, and Russian adoption by American families. Those are the notes of Paul Manafort.
Exactly what it means is unclear, but a few notes. Browder is the U.S. businessman behind the Magnitsky Act, which the government hates, Russian government. Joanna Glover appears to be former aide to Vice President Cheney and current GOP lobbyist Juliana Glover, who worked on the Magnitsky Act. Illicit is unclear, but seems as though it may have been the typo for illicit. We got a fine guest. He joins us next. Jim Santelle, former U.S. attorney, more devil's advocates. You're listening to us.
I was kept pretty much in the dark.
You're the best son money can buy.
I can handle things. I'm smart.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
The Western Scrub Jay. I was taking my science class on a virtual reality bird-watching expedition. All of a sudden, Charlie Kane shouts, "Arr! Arr!" He had spotted the elusive black swift, a bird rarely seen in the wild. For a brief moment, Charlie had not the eyes of a 9-year-old boy. He had the eyes of an eagle.
Teachers just have better work stories. Find out how creative teaching can be at teachdfw.org. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
I'm Jesse Pica-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
You are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Believe me, there is no collusion. Believe me.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
Excuse me, I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada. Nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So, I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I gotta tell you, so when I first moved to Green Bay to play football in '92, I had never been to Wisconsin. But the funniest thing I thought, you could not buy hamburger patties without a dollop of butter on them.
Folks, just so you know, if you take a little bit of herb butter and put it in the middle of a patty and just kind of mold it around there, you get magic.
I have one of my arteries right now.
How much did you say you weighed?
I'm gaining weight with my thoughts right now.
You're 3 bills and some change already, brother.
Guns, Butter, Economics, 414 Wisconsin, weekdays 2 to 3 p.m. on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. The family of a mentally ill West Milwaukee man who was tasered repeatedly before he died a year ago has filed a lawsuit against the Village of West Milwaukee. Fire destroyed the historic Trinity Evangelical Lutheran Church in downtown Milwaukee yesterday, and the Brewers lost to the Rockies last night 2-1. The rubber game of that 3-game series is today in Colorado. And the forecast for Milwaukee, sunshine today, mostly clear tonight, lows around 50 degrees, sunshine tomorrow, highs in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, upper 70s in Madison, and then Friday, sunshine with highs in the upper 60s, upper 70s in Madison. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Charged, never convicted. Dom and Croat are the Devil's Advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Dominic, we welcome back a fine guest. He's a friend of ours. He has been our Mueller time resource all year long. He is former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle. He joins us live via phone. Jim, welcome back to the Devil's Advocates.
Mike, Dominic, good to be with you again this afternoon.
Thank you, Jim.
Well, Jim, it's so hard to know where to start, but let's start with what we learned from the Senate testimony, specifically regarding this Trump Tower meeting in June of 2016. What do you think the new news is out of the reporting we've seen, Jim?
Sure. So we've got about 2,500 pages of material. And I know
you've read them all already and digested them for our audience, right?
You have read them all as we power through all that material. So I suspect that as we cull through it quite seriously, there'll be more to come out of it. But my sense today on a first blush review of this is that there are two big takeaways. One is, of course, the substance of what was in fact discussed. We've talked a lot about, the world has talked a lot about collusion. Well, there really isn't a crime of collusion. There is a crime of conspiracy. And I go back again to that indictment that we talked about way back in February, Bob Mueller, the grand jury indicting those Russians, basically for depriving the American people of their right to a fair elective process. Those are my words, not the indictment's words. The question is, you look again at more information about what happened in June of 2016 is, are these people at that meeting, the Americans, Natalia Veselnitskaya, and perhaps one other Russian is also there, are they working together in such a way that they're conspiring once again to deprive the people, the American people, of a fair elective process? That may or may not be clear from what we see today, but there's no doubt that Bob Mueller is taking a look at that. And to the extent that we've got some additional insights, whether it's Manafort's notes and other pieces of this, it certainly adds a bit more to this attempt to figure out whether or not there was a conspiratorial type relationship that undermined our elective process. So the substance is the first thing I see there. The second piece, of course, is what you've also discussed, which is the obstruction of justice piece. And there's also this much related report coming out today, again, from these materials, that the Trump attorneys or the Trump group attempt to feed this statement about what this meeting was all about, again, to Russians, to put a good cast on it. Now, is there anything particularly illegal about coordinating releases to the media? Probably not. People do that all the time, and that's perhaps even good practice. The question, as it is with the first one, is does this fall into a larger practice? Is it part of a larger arena, if you will, of things that are being done to undermine and to divert the prosecution, the investigation from its true course? I don't have clear answers to either of those questions, but today's releases perhaps give us a bit more insight into where those questions should ultimately go.
Jim, apparently Trump Jr. disappointed. No good dirt on Hillary. Does it matter whether or not he secured dirt on Hillary or not if that was the intent of the meeting?
Yeah, again, it's a great question. The legal aspect of this, of course, is that the crime of conspiracy doesn't necessarily mean that you have to produce the exact result. You have to take certain overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy if there is, in fact, such a thing that's going on here. But the mere fact that the meeting did not result in anything may or may not be dispositive of whether or not this forms the basis of any particular charge. My own sense is, I suspect Bob Mueller and his team is looking at it this way as well, is that while the meeting may not have produced the kind of information that Donald Trump Jr. and others may have expected, it certainly provides you once again with an insight into connections with foreign nationals, other people, again, in an attempt perhaps to undermine this elective process. And it certainly also gives you a sense of the mindset, the purpose for which this meeting was called. The mere fact that it did not produce what has been referred to as the dirt on Hillary Clinton, that in and of itself, I do not think is dispositive of the importance or the lack of importance of this meeting.
Jim, we hear at one point that Trump perhaps helped draft, or his input was included in a differing, and I'm not absolutely clear. I don't want to be wrong on this, but apparently Trump was trying to insulate himself by having Hope Hicks bring his information. Does this create plausible deniability on behalf of Trump if indeed he insulated himself, or has he simply pulled Hope Hicks into the web of treachery with him?
We certainly know that Hope Hicks has been interviewed by Bob Mueller and the team that's investigating this. Again, a very good point. The mere fact that one, in the course of your business, whether it's legal or illegal, involves coworkers, people who are above you, below you in the organizational charge, the question, that's not dispositive. The question, once again, is what did you know? What was your intent? What was your reason for, I think you're making reference to the president's apparent involvement in the drafting of this Twitter note that the June 2016 meeting was about adoptions and about Russian adoptions, which plainly it was not. The question, once again, is less about who it is, where he got the information from, although it may be relevant. But, what did he know? What was his intent? And what was the involvement of everyone, including Hope Hicks, in doing that? Again, there's not clarity on that, but the mere fact that one would get information from others may or may not be dispositive, a word I'm using a lot today, about whether there's some real culpability here. The question ultimately goes to what did the president, what did others know at the time, and what was their intent in doing what they did. If they reasonably relied on bad information, that's one thing. If, on the other hand, they knew something to be the truth and purposefully disclosed or provided information that they knew not to be true with the purpose of diverting a legitimate investigation, that's when we come close to obstruction of justice.
Well, I guess, Jim, I had a quick one. It was simply, if Trump is involving himself in this process, is it not his intent to obfuscate?
It certainly there certainly is an awful lot to indicate here that again, not only in connection with the tweet, but also again today's release about the Trump group generally sending this proposed press release to the Russians, certainly trying to muddy, if you will, the public understanding of what happened here. Again, that may not be a violation of the law to do that, but in context of an entire course of conduct, obfuscation can, in fact, be evidence of a larger problem, which could be criminal obstruction of justice.
You're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. That is Jim Santelle. He's a former U.S. attorney for the Eastern District of Wisconsin, and he's joining us on the phone. Jim, does this put to bed any of the Republicans and conservatives' notions that they believe Trump continuing saying that nobody from the campaign ever met with any Russians? I mean, is that finally over? Have we answered that question?
I don't think so, and not only because of what we see today, that is, if anything, there is increased evidence that there were continuing connections with the Russians, again, describing what happened on June of 2016. As I've said, that may or may not be inappropriate, but there certainly is a strong connection here. The fact that the meetings were happening at all suggests that, and beyond that, the larger issue is that, as we've always discussed, and as we learned even last week, my strong sense is that Bob Mueller is probably about 3 to 4 to 5, maybe 6 months ahead of the rest of us. We keep hearing about things, and including today's release, of course, which is testimony that happened many, many weeks, if not months ago. Bob Mueller is in that same position with respect to the rest of us. When we heard last week about some of Michael Cohen's clients, so to speak, and people who had paid him money, it also became clear that Bob Mueller knew about that, months ago? And so my sense is that we're going to be discovering things down the road in this summertime about to arrive here that Bob Mueller worked on last fall. And I know you asked me once before, and there's some reporting even today, is this the beginning of the end of the investigation? I will continue to say what I've said in the past, which is, number one, we don't know because we don't have insight into, nor should we have insight into exactly what Bob Mueller is doing. But my own sense is that this is going to be years, not just months, years. We recall the investigations of the Clintons. That was 3, 4, 5, 6 years before that was completely resolved, and under Pat Fitzgerald's stewardship of that investigation. So my own sense is not only is this not putting anything to bed, but all we're getting today is simply little glimpses into what may or may not have been said to Bob Mueller, in this case what may have been said to the Senate Judiciary Committee. There's a whole lot more going on here, and without knowing with any particular specificity, my own sense is that these little bits and pieces that we get are indicative of, again, much larger things yet to come.
Jim, Trump Jr. said, according to the Post article, he didn't recall a key phone call with a blocked phone number, if that was his father. He doesn't know who it is. From your experience as a U.S. attorney, is something like that easily verifiable? Couldn't you just go to Trump's records and pull them and see if you're coordinated with an outbound call at the same time?
Sure, there are mechanisms. There are things called pen registers and traps and trace mechanisms. You have to apply. Again, your listeners should know that this is not just a prosecutor, in this case Bob Mueller, running ransack over constitutional principles, but you need to make an application to a judge to get records. There are processes to the grand jury system to get subpoenas of records from providers, and all of that's got to go through the proper legal process. And so the answer is yes. And again, my sense is this is, again, one of those categories where Bob Mueller probably has a pretty good sense of phone calls made in all directions because you can, in fact, track that information down. My own recollection is the mere fact that a number may be blocked for these purposes does not mean that a telephone provider does not have and cannot provide to you upon a proper subpoena, upon an application and a grant of a trap and trace or other mechanisms. They've still got that information. And again, my guess is that Bob Mueller has that.
And I guess my last question for you, Jim, the notes that Paul Manafort took down, and a couple of things jump out at me. Number one, the RNC is mentioned. That suggests, campaigning conversations were involved. Cyprus mentioned twice. One, offshore-Cyprus, the other, quote, value in Cyprus as Inter, and companies, 133 M shares, presumably million shares. Do you get anything out of that? Does that strike you as odd that these would be Manafort's notes in a meeting, apparently about Russian adoption, but of course we know about dirt on Hillary. But either way, the fact that the RNC in Cyprus is mentioned, I want to get your thought on that.
Sure. Again, they're cryptic notes, and as you indicated, offshore Cyprus, value in Cyprus as presumably as intermediary. My strong sense is that to the extent that Bob Mueller has also looked at these notes, I'm sure he would be very interested in questioning Manafort on exactly what those meant, and probably has spoken to other people about what those kinds of references may mean. There are laws that prohibit Americans from engaging in business relationships. The Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, for example, prohibits certain kinds of engagements with foreign powers and foreign companies and so forth without, obviously, government imprimatur. We don't know exactly what these mean, but a lot of them suggest whenever you're talking about overseas involvement, offshore and so forth, that there may be something there. And the question, again, what it is to dig deeper to find out exactly what that is. But, again, your listeners should know that there are prohibitions on Americans engaging in these kinds of things. May or may not be revealed by Manafort's notes, but certainly grist for Bob Mueller to ask about. And those people who are cooperating with him to this day, I'm certain have been asked about those kinds of things.
Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle, our fine guest for a few more minutes. Jim, I got a few more. Let me ask you, the new Trump legal strategy certainly seems like a political strategy. It seems like they are essentially running to not have the president lose an impeachment trial in the Senate, more so than they're even denying perhaps campaign finance violations. Giuliani seemingly threw his client under the bus. Well, the FBC violations that may or may not exist with the payoff of Stormy Daniels, really, I think Trump believes, and I'm asking your opinion, sir, Trump believes he cannot be indicted, so the crime doesn't matter as long as he can retain the presidency. Do you agree with my thought process, Jim?
Sure. I think there's an awful lot of merit to that. Whether he has affirmatively shifted to the political as opposed to legal, we don't know. History will tell us about that one day. He plainly has exposure in both areas, and perhaps the most immediate is the political exposure that he has. And so your comment may be well taken. Again, knowing that there is certainly there is a department policy. There have been lots of discussions and memos about whether or not a president can be indicted. The fact of the matter is that at some point, whether it's in 3.5 years from now or 7.5 years from now, or the President Trump will no longer be president, the mere fact that when you occupy that position, that you may not be subject to indictment does not mean that you cannot be indicted after you leave office. And again, I'm not indicating that will happen, but there's certainly my own sense is, and I think that to the extent that the president's attorneys understand the whole scope of this, the president plainly has political issues on Capitol Hill and other places, and perhaps around the country. But this notion that somehow that will trump, no pun intended here, his legal difficulties, I think is also mistaken. Along the way, as we have seen with all of the work that Bob Mueller and his team has done, the indictments, the cooperation from at least two, if not more, of those folks who've been indicted, all that indicates that there is a significant legal jeopardy that is out there that remains, and that involves people that we've talked about today. And that cannot be good for the president, even in his administration, as he wants to go forward with policies and things that are productive. And so I think that there is both legal and political jeopardy here. My own focus, obviously, is understanding the legal aspects of this, and that's the focus of our discussions today and in the past. But it may well be that as a priority, his attorneys have said, let's work on the political side first and place the legal second. But I think it's unwise to dismiss the second one as being irrelevant or insignificant to Donald Trump's future.
Jim Santelle, I can't let you off the hook without asking you about Stormy as we go to break, Jim. Apparently, Trump had to make disclosure of reimbursement to his attorney. Many are aligning the payment with the repayment of the Stormy Daniels NDA. Jim, last 30 seconds, is this Stormy stuff, is this a BFD, as our friend Joe Biden might say?
Right. I think that, again, we don't know exactly what the U.S. Attorney in Southern District of New York is doing with all this. I continue to believe that, especially with the revelations last week about Michael Cohen's other clients out there, that there can be a whole lot more behind this that we're just now discovering. So I think this is significant. It may or may not be as significant as the Russian aspect, which Bob Mueller is pursuing, but I think only unwise people would dismiss it as being irrelevant or insignificant.
Former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle, our fine resource in all things Mueller time. Thanks so much. Don't be a stranger, Jim. I suspect we may need future updates.
Thanks, Jim.
We are the Devil's
I will look forward
Advocates.
to chatting again.
Come back with us. Join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's three big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
It's important to buckle up your kids.
I know.
Sometimes car seats can be complicated.
I know.
And if your child's in the wrong seat and you get into a crash,
I know.
it could lead to a serious injury.
I know.
So you're 100% sure you have the right car seat for your child's age and size?
I don't know.
Don't think you know. Know you know. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Make sure you have the right car seat. Visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
I'm State Representative Jocasta Zamaripa.
And I'm Joel Clayfish.
Listen to us on the Joel and Jocasta Show, Saturdays at 3 p.m.
She's a Latina woman from the inner city of Milwaukee, and I'm a white guy from the suburbs. Diversity in the white guy. You are not going to believe what you hear on this show. I'm telling you, you're going to have to listen. News Talk, 1510 a.m., WRRD.
Wisconsin's
The Devil's Advocates. Rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
And we're back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. If you want to chime in, you can call us or text us at 844-967-2789.
Dom, like to thank our most recent guest to find one indeed, Jim Santelle. He's the Mueller time guy around here, former U.S. attorney and a friend of ours. Dom, one more story I want to throw out for your perusal. This hour at thehill.com, Morgan Chalfant. Yes, collusion, I'd like to think of this one as. Leaders of the Senate Intelligence Committee said Wednesday that they agree with the intelligence community's assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election and sought to help President Trump win the White House. We see no reason to dispute the conclusions. Chairman Richard Burr, that's the Republican, Dom, said in a statement, there is no doubt that Russia undertook an unprecedented effort to interfere with our 2016 elections. As part of its investigation into Russia meddling, the committee has for several months been reviewing the January 2017 assessment compiled by top U.S. intelligence officials. The assessment found that Russia sought to interfere in the election for 3 reasons: to undermine the U.S. democracy, to damage Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, and to help Trump win the White House. Yes, collusion, Dom. Yes, collusion.
Vice Chairman Mark Warner went a little bit further. Crudy, here's what he had to say. After a thorough review, our staff concluded that the intelligence community assessment conclusions were accurate and on point. The Russian effort was extensive, sophisticated, and ordered by President Putin himself for the purpose of helping Donald Trump and hurting Hillary Clinton.
Well, that breaks substantially with the Republican House report issued by Nunes and signed off on, I would note, by Speaker Paul Ryan. Come back with us, our good friend, it's Batman Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Time to talk Hamas and Foxconn. And Scott Walker, of course, it's always Scott Walker cashing checks. Come back with us.
You never know, do you? You never know.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
The Devil's Advocates, rock and roll political commentary in a top 40 world.
Do, re, mi, the first 3 notes just happen to
Terrible.
So I need to
I can see listeners dropping off. Let's get some callers before we lose everybody. Betsy from Madison, you're up. Thanks for calling.
That will bring us back to do.
Terrible.
Hey, at least we didn't do Edelweiss.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
Waiting on North Korea. Tragedy averted. I'm Rich Johnson. In the middle of shouting by reporters,
We haven't seen anything.
President Trump said we'll see regarding his scheduled meeting next month with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. The president said there's been no official communication from Pyongyang putting the meeting in doubt, But a public statement yesterday from North Korea threatened to cancel the summit. Police in Denton County, Texas, are trying to sort out a murder-suicide scene inside a house. 5 people are dead, including the shooter. 1 person survived. Police in Orange County, California, are releasing few more details about yesterday's fatal bomb blast at an office building.
At this point, we do not believe this was an accident. We've ruled out a gas main explosion and other potential theories. At this point, our working theory is that this explosion was caused by a device.
The FBI's Paul Delacourt on the blast that killed 1 and injured 3 at a day spa inside a medical building. Tragedy averted in Dixon, Illinois this morning when a shooter showed up at school.
Dixon Police Chief Steve Howell said a student who had been expelled came to the school with a gun and fired several shots near the gym where other students were taking part in a graduation run-through.
While pursuing the suspect shot several rounds towards the officer, at which time the officer returned fire and struck the suspect.
The 19-year-old gunman was wounded and taken to a local hospital. No one else was injured. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
Going to an actual store to shop is not dead yet. Sales at Macy's stores rose by more than 3.5% last week, fueling an 11% rise in Macy's stock. The Senate's passed a bill that would leave intact the FCC's current net neutrality rule that bans Internet providers from expanding or contracting a client's access based on content. But the White House is pushing the change, so the bill could die in the heavily Republican House. The Dow achieved a small gain today, up 63 points. The NASDAQ up 47. I'm Rich Johnson.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
A California judge has overturned the Golden State's assisted suicide law.
The law was inspired by the story of Brittany Maynard.
I am 29 years old, and I am terminally ill.
She had to move to another state to end her life under her own terms, not her cancer's. California became the 5th state to enact a death with dignity law. In blocking the law, the judge did not rule it unconstitutional, but rather how it was passed. Attorney John Capos
was not within the scope of the special session.
That special session was called to address health care funding issues, not assisted suicide. The state of California has 5 days to appeal. Jim Roop, Los Angeles.
This month's explosion at an auto parts plant in Michigan reached far and wide. Meridian Lightweight Technologies makes parts for BMW, Mercedes, GM, and Ford, and it caused Ford to shut down production of its most popular trucks. But now Ford says it will restart F-Series production, first in Dearborn, then KC in Louisville. I'm Rich Johnson.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to Goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
Tom Perez, chair of the Democratic National Committee. Scott Walker went on something of a Twitter storm, very Trumpian. What do you think this foretells for Scott Walker's future as the governor of the state of Wisconsin?
Wisconsinites have woken up. He talked about we need an optimistic message. How can you make people feel optimistic when you take away their health care? How can you make people optimistic when you take away the right to bargain? How can you make people feel optimistic when you're gerrymandering the heck out of districts?
Radio for the 99%.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Representative Ron Kind, Democrat from La Crosse, says the new federal farm bill must help Wisconsin farmers dealing with low commodity and dairy prices. Kind is proposing several amendments to the Farm Bill, including setting an income limit for crop insurance recipients so the subsidies don't go to millionaires and billionaires, reinstating the Conservation Stewardship Program to protect topsoil and avoid runoff, and reforming the crop insurance program to lower the guaranteed rate of return for insurance companies. And the forecast for Milwaukee: sunshine today, mostly clear tonight, lows around 50 degrees, sunshine tomorrow, highs in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, upper 70s in Madison, and then Friday, sunshine with highs in the upper 60s, upper 70s in Madison. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves' corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back. Hour 2 of the Devil's Advocates radio show. It gets better all the time, Dom, because we're joined right now, live via phone, by Batman. He's our buddy, Matt Rothschild, Executive Director, Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. They are the watchdogs, and he is the dark money vigilante. Welcome back, Batman.
Hey, Crute. Hey, Dom. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Matt. Thank you, buddy.
Matt, let's talk about not the only headline of the week, but perhaps the most troubling to my perception. We've got the big Foxconn, whoever's running it, the master planner, and it just so happens that the master planner of the Foxconn Technology Group's $9 billion developer is what? Scott Walker's campaign finance chairman?
What?
Matt, how does this work?
Well, it stinks to high heaven. That's how it works. I mean, it helps to know people, I guess. I mean, it's just disgusting. I mean, how much of the $4.5 billion of taxpayer money is John Hammes going to get in profit from the sweetheart deal to Foxconn? I mean, John Hammes, Walker's campaign finance chair for his reelection bid. He was finance chair for Walker's GOP presidential campaign. He's been a big donor, not just to Walker, but to Republican Party of Wisconsin and nationally. He and his wife Ann gave Walker $30,000 over the last 10 years. They gave $20,000 to the Republican Party of Wisconsin over the last 18 years, and they gave almost $300,000 to the Republican National Committee over the last 14 years. This guy is, a Republican Party big donor and a Walker buddy. And this Walker buddy is going to benefit from this boondoggle that's called Foxconn, and we're all paying for it. We must be paying this guy to make, I don't know, he's going to make what, $50 million to $100 million in profit on this? Something like that.
Are you kidding me? If I do the calculation, average, let's call it the general contractor, the master planner, the guy that gets to margin every other contractor on the project, if he even got a 10% margin, we're not talking $50 million. We're talking closer to $500 million, Matt.
Yeah,
on a $4.5 billion project, it's probably closer to $900 million, sir.
Yeah, I was trying to be conservative. I was kicking around in my mind, $500 million at the beginning, and then I said, well, I'll be safe here. But who knows? I mean, this guy's going to just make a frickin' fortune for himself and his wife and his kids and their grandkids and their grandkids after that. I mean, the Hammes family is going to be set for like 7 generations because of this Foxconn deal. And it's unbelievable. I mean, Walker's turned the governor's office into an ATM for his buddies, and it's crony capitalism at its worst. And I just don't see how this is a seller for Scott Walker on the campaign trail. But it's going to be up to the Dems to make hay on it if they can. But if they can't, make this succeed, they can't sell popcorn in the movie theater.
Well, knowing the Tim Field, that might be a good argument. I got to ask you, the Democrats have obviously, at least guys like Dana Wachs, have been out there pushing back against the Foxconn. And our friend John Nichols over at the Cap Times in the Nation magazine wrote a little piece. I've read some of it. Well, I've read the whole piece, but, man, I won't read it to you. Let me just jump forward. Let me just ask a question. Matt, how much money has Hammes given to Walker to date, as far as you can tell, at the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign?
So it's about $30,000 over the last 10 years.
Now, I got to say, Matt, knowing Hammes and their background as developers, I think they built some medical buildings. I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I've heard the name before as a developer in the state of Wisconsin here. There's probably only a handful of companies that could take on a project this size. And honestly, given the money that we're talking about, $30,000 over 10 years or even $20,000 over 18 years, doesn't seem like a whole lot of money in the great scheme of things, Matt.
Well, in Walker world, it probably isn't, but for the rest of us, that's a lot of money to be throwing around. I mean, he isn't, in Walker's top 10 of contributors. He's not there with Diane Hendricks or Richard Eline or DeVos or Adelson or those folks. But he's not a piker either. And, giving $285,000 to the Republican National Committee, that's a lot of money.
Well, and he did give, Matt, sorry to interrupt you, at least according to our friends reporting over at the Cap Times, he did give $150,000 to Scott Walker's Political Action Committee, his shadow presidential campaign in waiting. It's not like he didn't give the man a substantial amount of money. There was $150,000. Maybe you missed it because he failed and spent it so readily on his failed campaign. Maybe you missed that one, Matt.
This is the Unintimidated PAC?
I'm not sure if it's that or the Our American Revival PAC. I mean, the guy had a couple of 527s running. Simply described as Hammes always has been generous with Walker. He even poured, according to John Nichols, $150,000 into a political action committee that was part of the intricate web of funding schemes set up to promote the governor's failed 2016 presidential bid. So any one of the PACs. I'm not clear which one.
I mean, he's clearly a buddy of Walker's. That's why Walker has him as campaign finance chair, and he was finance chairman for Walker's presidential race. So it's not like he's a nobody out there or some impartial businessman who gives to both sides and doesn't favor, the Republicans over the Democrats. So, to Dom's point, is he qualified? I don't know, but I take a cue from the Milwaukee Business Journal that says Hammes Company built a national reputation for planning and developing healthcare and commercial real estate, but no previous engagements compare with the newest. So, I don't know.
Yeah, this seems to be a big project, even for Hammes. Absolutely.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Matt, when we talk about tracking the donations, we think they're all coming in the front door. We think that perhaps Scott Walker is going to disclose them, but knowing this man's track record, Matt, he's not going to take a direct contribution because he would have campaign finance caps. How do we know what Hammes or Foxconn or any of the other Scott Walker cronies have given to third-party groups that are then funneled back to Scott Walker or to his benefit at the campaign cycle? There is no disclosure with Wisconsin Club for Growth or many others. Matt, how do we know if he's getting kicked back millions?
This is the thing. For instance, if they give money to Wisconsin Alliance for Reform, which is a right-wing dark money group in Wisconsin that supports Republican candidates, they don't have to report where they're getting their money because they don't run ads that say vote for this person or vote against that person. What if John Hammes, or what if Foxconn, for that matter, even though it's illegal, gave money to Wisconsin Alliance for Reform, which is running these ads that say, call Scott, I don't know if this is an ad, but I imagine it will be, call Scott Walker and thank him for doing such a great job on employment in Wisconsin. Here's his number. It's as good as running an advertisement to tell people to vote for Scott Walker, but since it doesn't use the magic word vote for, we're not going to know ever who is giving Wisconsin Alliance for Reform all this money. And it could be John Hammes, it could be other executives at that company, it could be other people getting subcontracts here. I mean, it could just be, it's a nice little you scratch my back, I scratch yours thing, and we're never going to know who's doing the scratching.
Folks, you're listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. That's Matt Rothschild. He's the executive director of Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. He joins us on the phone. Matt, I wanted to clarify, and I guess I'm not clear, and if you know the answer, certainly let me know. With regards to foreign corporations or foreign governments, any foreign organization or person giving money to a 501c3 or some charitable organization that turns around and tries to educate the people, for example, is it your contention that they are not allowed to do that, or do you think that they, in fact, can, as a foreign corporation, give that money to a charitable organization?
I just looked this thing up a little while ago because they're not supposed to engage in electioneering. So the question is, what exactly is electioneering?
Right.
And, boy, that's just hard to figure out. And I'm sure some fancy lawyers with Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty were saying they're just trying to inform the public.
And I guess that's kind of my impression. And I don't know. That's why I asked the question. But my gut tells me that a foreign person or organization or corporation could absolutely give to the NAACP or the People for People Corporation or some 501c3. And that organization can do what it will to fulfill their mission to educate their constituents on whatever their matters may be. And that is, according to the Wisconsin Supreme Court, specifically not electioneering.
But, I mean, how long, gentlemen...
Let me just give the legal opinion from the FEC website. Foreign nationals are prohibited from making any contributions or expenditures in connection with any election in the U.S. Well, that's hard to interpret, isn't it? What is in connection with any election? I mean, that's a little tighter language than some language in this dark money business, but who knows? I mean, they could say, it was at the same time as an election, but we just want people to be nice and send Skywalker a little thank you note for all he's done for us. I mean, that's the problem with these so-called issue advocacy groups that are bogus, but and that are definitely trying to influence the election. It's just a question of, can you prove it with how loosely the laws are written around here?
Well, Matt Rothschild, there's a April article in Newsweek magazine that says the NRA has acknowledged accepting like 23 foreign corporate donors. So I would say, using the example of a guy like Michael Cohen, even if there is an FEC, prohibition on this corporate giving, all you got to do is spend $130 online. You create your essential consultants and you funnel the money back. If Scott Walker knows anything, it's about corruptly funneling money back to his campaign. If there's a will, there's a way, and I suggest there's probably a corrupt way to do it.
Well, he's good at a shell game. I mean, he proved that with his problems in the John Doe 2 investigation with the Wisconsin Club for Growth. So I'm sure, he knows how to manipulate things around and hide where the money's coming from. And so, none of that would surprise me. And this is just the huge problem we have with the dark money and why we need to make these so-called dark money groups require them to disclose who their donors are. And even the U.S. Supreme Court and Citizens United said that disclosure is one way to lessen the impact of this dark money.
Matt, you are the greatest. Matt Rothschild, he's Batman. He is the executive director of the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. And most importantly, he's a friend of ours. Thank you, Matt. Man.
Hey, Matt, if people want to get involved or learn more about your organization, if they're concerned about money in politics, dark money groups, all those kinds of things, how can they get involved and support your organization?
Yeah, we'd love to support. Just go to WISDC for democracycampaign.org.
Thank you, Matt Rothschild. Appreciate what you do. We are the Devil's Advocates. Going to break, coming back. Perhaps you on the phones. Let's talk about our corrupted governor. 844-967-2789.
But this specifically, those people that donated and were part of this organization got access, special access that nobody else would get.
Just because he says it doesn't make it true.
Pay for play. It's illegal. I mean, it's illegal.
You know, I'm an Eagle Scout.
Wanker.
Scott Walker thinks Wisconsin should once again hire him as governor.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon.
This is a person who has not worked in the private sector since 1993.
You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP.
And has made his political career.
You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
By using divisive tactics to the benefit of his corporate donors.
The first step is we're going to deal with collective bargaining for all public employee unions. Because you divide and conquer.
Now he supports the largest publicly funded government subsidy of a foreign corporation in American history.
You know, they can go suck lemons.
And Scott Walker has yet to live up to his first campaign promise to create 250,000 jobs.
Is this a campaign promise? Something you want to be held to?
Absolutely.
Scott Walker, we the people are done sucking your lemons. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison, many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
Every hiring manager knows that a company is only as good as the people it's made from. So where do you find the best people? That may surprise you.
Meet the grads of life. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
This is talent worth knowing about.
Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella. As Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines, it's my job to make sure your network is up 99.999% of the time. Technology is constantly evolving, and keeping your business up to date in an ever-changing environment can be a hassle. At Five Nines, we're here to help. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. Better IT gives your business a competitive advantage. Learn how Five Nines can help at fivenines.com. That's the number 5, NINES.com.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
You've packed the smartphones, headphones, tablets, water snacks, coolers, sunscreen, bikes, skateboards, games, videos, sunglasses.
There's no room for people in here.
Just don't wimp out on the most important thing.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
No, seatbelts. Whether it's a long haul or short trip,
it's a win-win situation.
Never give up until they buckle up. Visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup for more information. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. A good friend of ours, a fine sponsor. He's Lenny Mattioli. He's crazy e-bike Lenny, and he's always selling e-bikes. Lenny, welcome back to the show, man. I got to tell you, I've been missing your ads on the radio. What happened, Len?
Any potential advertisers that were considering using Devil's Advocate, listen to this. We ran an ad 10 days. We sold every one. Every single one.
The Devil's Advocates.
Merchandising! Merchandising! Every single one.
The Devil's Advocates, because it's always 420 somewhere.
And we are back from the 420 break. Thank you so much for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. You can join us on the phones, or you can text us at 844-967-2789.
Dominic, want to thank our most recent guest, Matt Rothschild, a fine one indeed. He's Batman. He is the executive director Wisconsin Democracy Campaign. Is this one that reminds you of childhood?
It reminds me of Meet the Parents, but yeah.
I was thinking about you. You're like little Nicky Papers. You roll them good and tight.
I cheat, man. I got a roller. It's I can't take all the credit.
Yeah, Dom. Our friend Jessie Apoyan, she can take all the credit for this piece. A fine one at the Madison.com Cap Times. Scott Walker on his favorite Assembly Democrat and the difference between the two parties and the secret, the food photos. I mean, talking about some dynamic reporting. Now, the source of this article down at the Republican convention last weekend, your buddy, former reality TV star Sean Duffy, incorporated Scott Walker into his Plaidcast podcast.
Oh, come on. Duffy gets Walker and we don't?
It's the Plaidcast because, Duffy, he's a lumberjack.
Oh, he is? I was not aware.
You didn't know he participated in the Lumberjack World Championships?
No.
That was his claim to fame before he was a participant on the real world.
Well, and now he's a congressman.
I'd like to lay an analogy out. This one's Scott Walker's. He owns this one. But I'd like all of our fair audience members to listen and think to yourself, could you think of a better analogy than the one Scott Walker uses? Walker said, and I'm jumping in the piece, Walker said he's visited about a dozen college campuses in the last year to speak to their college Republican groups because, no Democrats.
Party!
He said he touts two things: the job prospects for college graduates, which he attributes to Republican policies, of course he does, and his 6-year tuition freeze. Then he said he asked students to raise their hands if they've ever been in a taxi. Hardly any hands go up, according to Walker. Then he asked how many have been in an Uber or Lyft vehicle. Every single hand goes up. And here's the quote. The difference between a Democrat and a Republican is the difference between a taxi cab and Uber or Lyft, Walker said. Taxis are in big cities where Democrats overwhelmingly run, and they require you to have a license, pay a fee. They restrict how long you can work, where you can work. There's all sorts of restrictions. That's what Democrats do. They tell you what to do, when to do it, and where to do it. Republicans are like Uber or Lyft. They don't care whether you do 1 car ride a day or 50 car rides a day.
What?
They don't care whether it's a hobby or full-time. They don't really care as long as you don't hurt the health and safety of your neighbor. As Republicans, we say just go out and do your own thing. Well, our phone lines are 844-967-2789. How you like this analogy? Here's one. Sean Duffy and Scott Walker walk into a bar, and they get served some bathtub gin, and they die because there was no regulations. How do you like that one, Republicans? I'm looking for yours. 844-967-2789.
That's the way we like it.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Well, you are listening to Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Ooh, I just felt a trickle down. No, I don't recall doing it.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison, resisting dirty carpets and harsh chemicals. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We're not using any soaps. We're not using any chemicals. We cost about the same as the other guys. You look at it and you go, where's the downside? You got a completely green clean. That's awesome. We guarantee it. There's no downside.
There's no downside. Use Zero Res. Call Zero Res today. 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Have you outgrown your house? Are you sick of apartment living? Not ready to buy but know you need to move? Hi folks, this is Tom Hartman for CCL Management in Middleton. You should consider moving up to one of the finer rental homes CCL Management represents. Unique houses and condos, always clean, most are pet friendly. Visit cclmanagement.com today to find your new home. CCL Management, Dane County's premier leasing and property management company.
Call CCL Management at 833-0009. That's 833-0009 or visit cclmanagement.com today.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
The Resistance is live 7 days a week here on 1510 AM WRRD, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Tune in Saturdays for Busted Pencils, fully leaded education talk with Dr. Tim Slecker, 11 a.m. to noon. Then it's the voice of the voiceless, champion of the working class. Earl Ingram's Saturday show is live from 12 to 3 p.m. Then Right Meets Left with the Joel and Joe Costa Show. Republican State Rep Joel Clayfish and Democratic State Rep Joe Costa Zamaripa go toe-to-toe from 3 to 4. Always streaming at newstalk1510am.com, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Primary special elections were held yesterday in the 2 Wisconsin legislative districts that Governor Walker wanted to leave vacant. The general elections for those 2 districts will be held on June 12th. And Wisconsin's Supreme Court is considering a case to determine how much authority the superintendent of schools should have. In the case, Governor Walker says Tony Evers should not be allowed to choose his own attorney. Instead, Walker has appointed Attorney General Brad Schimmel, who sides with Walker to represent Evers. And the forecast for Milwaukee, sunshine today, mostly clear tonight, lows around 50 degrees, sunshine tomorrow, highs in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, upper 70s in Madison, and then Friday, sunshine with highs in the upper 60s, upper 70s in Madison. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Ass, grass, or cash, nobody rides for free. Dom and Crute are the devil's advocates.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's a hump day. I'm broadcasting from a secret Boother bunker location. Boother. I'm in Boother's workspace, but I do so when I want to lay low and dodge the bullets. Well, Scott Walker went on the Plaidcast with Congressman Sean Duffy, which is a little embarrassing to say. But anyways, he put forth a, what do you call it, analogy, Dom? I think it's horrible.
Terrible analogy, yes.
I'm going to repeat it one more time, and we're going to go to the phones. I appreciate people's patience. 844-967-2789. Now, Walker says he tells this story on campus. Ask the kids to raise their hand. Who's been in a taxi? Who's been in an Uber or Lyft? And then he uses this analogy, and I'll share it once again for the sake of our audience. The difference between a Democrat and a Republican is the difference between a taxi cab and Uber or Lyft. Taxis are in big cities where Democrats overwhelmingly run, and they require you to have a license. What, like a driver's license? I read on. Pay a fee. They restrict how long you can work, where you can work. There's all sorts of restrictions. That's what Democrats do. They tell you what to do, when to do it, and where to do it. Republicans are like Uber or Lyft. They don't care whether you do one ride a day or 50 rides a day. They don't care whether it's a hobby or full-time. They don't really care as long as you don't hurt the health and safety of your neighbor. As Republicans, We just say go out and do your own thing. Unless you're talking about marijuana policy, in which case you may not.
Right.
Or abortion policy, or a number of other policies where they suddenly have a completely differing attitude.
Walker goes on to say, when he makes his analogy, it's like the students are, quote, hit with a 2x4. Even the kids who come in really thought they'd be annoyed with me. Well,
Which is pretty much all of them, right? Even the young Republicans. Note the fact he said earlier, I go and speak to the young Republicans. If he was speaking at the young Democrats and they, wow, now you really clarified it for me, Governor Walker. I don't think that's an actual reaction.
Yeah, hell, some people want to work 7 days a week. 844-967-2789. Let's get to the phones. Jake from Milwaukee, you're first. Thanks for calling, Jake. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's kind of stupid, considering that if you've actually paid attention to any of the news, Uber drivers especially totally get screwed over by Uber as far as pay, work hours, and everything else. So my guess is none of those young Republicans actually knew anything. The other thing, too, is so...
Well, Jake, I'm going to interrupt you right there for just a moment. Considering, and I saw a similar headline, Uber drivers make like $9.31 an hour in wage. Well, I think the analogy still holds true. Scott Walker hates the working stiff.
No, that's true. You're right. But I'm just wondering, do you think Tonette is jealous of his ham and cheese sandwiches? Because I think he's having an affair with them, personally. But
well, Jake, it might be an agreed upon threesome because perhaps she makes the sandwiches for him.
Oh. But yeah, literally the analogy is pretty stupid because if you look behind the veil, Uber at first was really cool, but they really changed because people realize if you're a driver, they're ripping you off. And they make some really bad mistakes with customers, get assaulted and you have a hard time suing them in their cabs. So, there is a reason for regulation and everything should get regulated because otherwise you get crap in your water like what happened to Richland.
Right.
And now it's going to happen to whatever. So, his point is moot. It means nothing.
Oh, sorry about that, Jake.
That was Dom. I had no control over that,
That was
Jake.
me. Thank you for the call, Jake. Appreciate your input. You could be like Jake. 844-967-2789. Let's keep
What's
going.
that mean? You're going to cut the next caller off as well? Hey, quick thought, real quick, and then next caller. What was Alex Walker doing with the state van moving his buddies? Could he use like a state van U-Haul analogy? We steal state resources and let our kids use it, where, Democrats might go out and rent a U-Haul.
Something like that. Ignacio from Arizona, or New Mexico. Where are you from, Ignacio? You're up.
94 inches. That's
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, good, man.
Just to talk to you real quick about two things. One, Melania Trump's visa that she got to come to the United States, it was supposedly an Einstein visa. Einstein visas are dedicated to people who are excellent, outstanding service in humanity, scientists like Einstein. I don't know how she qualifies for Einstein.
She has blessed us with her beautiful looks and as a wonderful first lady. So we are lucky to have her. I'm sure the Republicans would say.
Yeah. And then the other thing is who did Trump leave in charge to have military exercises to screw up the Korean talks? Come on. who did he say, go antagonize the guy so we can get out of this?
Well, that's always been his policy.
It's always the reducer?
I think it's always been his policy. Sorry, Ignacio didn't have a great line today. Quite frankly, what about talk of the Nobel Peace Prize? Was that perhaps a little premature? You got to award the guy a Nobel Peace Prize for not keeping a meeting with Kim Jong-un. Is that his major accomplishment?
And again, coming from the Republicans who are just beside themselves with the thought of Barack Obama having any conversation with the Korean leaders. But let's stick to the point here. Analogies provided by our fair Governor Scott Walker. You know, Democrats, they're like taxis. Republicans are like Uber and Lyft. Mark from the SAC, you are up. Thanks for calling, man. What do you think?
Hey, Mark.
Well, everything about Trump is probably premature. But it just, the whole deregulation thing is that, don't they know the benefits we've derived from, like, pure food and safety law, and drug laws, and automobile safety, and building codes that actually buildings don't just collapse on our heads.
Well, they don't care if it collapses on a tenant's head. I mean, Scott Walker lives in the governor's mansion. It's not going to happen to him, right?
What happens at the next ALEC convention when they drive the Democrats in the room, they're hooting and hauling, they hit that special resonance that brings the whole building down on their heads. I mean, I think they might care about it then, but not that I want to see that happen.
No, of course not. But I mean, the analogy that what Republicans are the up-and-comers, that the Republican and perhaps even the Republican mindset is one of innovation and invention, when in fact, what is a conservative is to remain as is, perhaps to go back to the way it was. It just doesn't. Not only is this analogy of taxis and Ubers terrible, for the Republican, for Governor Walker to try to position themselves as a party of innovation and progress is also a joke.
Missionary position is good enough for them. It should be good enough for everybody else.
Thanks for the call, Mark. On that note, we'll keep on going. You can join us, 844-967-2789. Nick from Humboldt County, California. Welcome to the show, Nick. What do you think?
Well, guys, here's the deal. Regulations are actually there for safety. And when you decide, like, we're going to cut all these regulations, and it sounds good, Republicans think it's such a great thing, and they get all excited about it and stuff. But the bottom line is, I'd say 90% of the regulations were there because somebody died or some bridge fell down, or, you could just line it up. And so they put, somebody got together and decided, okay, maybe we shouldn't be building with, this kind of cement or that, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I am sick and tired of Republicans lambasting regulations when they're there to protect us, the little guys.
And I agree with you there, Nick. Generally speaking, I think you're right. I think there's also regulation put in by big business to keep out the entrepreneurs and small business from particular markets. You talk about barriers to entering the market. Well, a lot of those kinds of barriers are put in by those who are already existing in that marketplace, have the political and financial ability to manipulate it, and therefore put barriers in. So it depends on what the regulation is, but generally speaking, yeah, something in the marketplace happens that is a detriment to the consumer base. Well, we as consumers and as citizens of this country, who are some of the biggest users of goods and products in the world, well, we have a right as well.
Well, I believe, you're actually correct. There's the bigger businesses, the giant corporations have used regulations to benefit themselves, and I'll go along with that. So I wish we had some sort of committee to figure this out, because most regulations, probably 70%, are there to protect, us normal people. And there's probably 20 or 30% are there to, set the system up for, for smaller businesses to fail.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Nick.
844-967-2789. Continue, my friend.
Freddie, I mean, you brought up the bathtub gin analogy. Yeah, there's regulations. You got to label what's in the product.
I actually appropriated that from someone on our Facebook live stream. Clever thought. I thought I'd steal it for my own.
It's a tribute. I'm down with Nick. I absolutely agree. There is a reason, lots of reasons for some of the regulations that we have. And to say that you're just against regulation, what, you want a free open market? You want the black market? Is that what you're telling me, Republicans? Because we already have that. And as far as I know, you're not too hip to it. 844-967-2789. Let's get one more caller in this segment. Patty from Milwaukee. It's you. Thanks for calling, Patty. What do you got?
Hey, Patty.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Great show. So where's the other guy? The guy that doesn't have any hair?
Crudy, I can see him on my computer, man.
I'm bunkered down, Patty. I'm laying low, man. I made a few enemies recently.
Is he sitting down?
He's sitting down, yes.
Oh, man. All right. So, yeah, with this whole regulation thing, think about all the deregs they put on water or taken off in terms of water in Wisconsin. Look what that has brought us. Look at Kewaunee. Look at Door County, where half or 2/3 of the wells are polluted or tainted, right? And he's defunded the DNR, so they can't regulate these wells. So now you have people waking up finally in Wisconsin to Walker's deregulation policies. But let's bridge that to Milwaukee a little bit, where Scott Walker and his ponds have allowed the Dells, for example, to put in a tourism tax, but have refused Milwaukee's request to do the same thing. It's local control by choice, right?
Yep. Absolutely, Patty. Local control by choice based on whoever they're in power, they can make those determinations. And of course, then something like that doesn't seem fair to, I don't know, the biggest economic driver in the state of Wisconsin, the city of Milwaukee.
Buddy, I'm still paying for that stadium. Every time I come through town, which is like almost every day, I still got to pay an extra 0.5% on the sales tax. To what, pay for the county stadium parking lot? What am I paying for these days?
Well, it's certainly not the parking lots, because those are still left over from county stadium. You're paying for all the new improvements and so forth. That's almost done, by the way, that tax. The unfortunate thing is that the roads are going to be crumbling trying to get into it. So good luck with that.
Well, they should let us all gamble on sports, and it might all even out in the wash, as far as I'm concerned.
It's about time. Let's set up a sports book, the Devil's Advocates sports book. But someone else has to run the numbers.
Dom, I'll give you a 3-2. No one can come up with a worse analogy than Scott Walker's most recent one on taxi cabs, Ubers, and Lyfts. And there's more meat on the bone, Dom. We'll come back. I'll ask anyone, and I bet you many will come to mind immediately. Who do you think Scott Walker's favorite assembly dim is? We'll answer that pressing question on the other side. More Devil's Advocates. You can join us, 844-967-2789.
Regulations on top of regulations.
Oh my God, we're burning alive!
What'd you do?
Be best.
No, I can't feel my legs!
Be best.
My name is Adam Holmes, and I'm proud to be union.
Adam, you're Director of Training for Painters, District Council 7. What do you do?
I'm making sure that we're investing in our members. We're providing the safest and best trained painters, glazers, drywall finishers, and trade show workers in the industry, and we also do that at no cost to the taxpayers.
Why hire unions?
Because it costs less to be safe. We keep the contractor on the right side of OSHA and help keep the workmen's comp rates affordable. Join us, Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Have a drink at Regano's Roman Coin. This neighborhood corner tavern is as classic as the street it occupies. Family owned and operated since 1966, Regano's Roman Coin is located in a former Pabst Tide House on historic Brady Street, serving an array of craft beers with a focus on Wisconsin breweries. Also, weekly drink specials, trivia on Wednesdays, seasonal sporting events, parties hosted for all occasions, and pet friendly. Open 11 a.m. Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, closed on Monday. Regano's Roman Coin, Milwaukee's pet friendly, cash only order and classic corner tavern.
Juice, Mom! Juice, juice, juice!
Mommy, why are we going to the store?
Mom, I want juice!
Mom!
Juice, juice, juice!
Mom!
Your child will have different needs at different stages of life, and that includes the car seat. See, car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
5.9's, your local single-source IT solutions provider. Specializing in cloud technology, consulting, servers, networks, and hosting. We manage your IT so you can focus on running your business. Enjoy technology. Enjoy 5nines.com.
I'm Jesse Picaholes with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
I'm afraid right now for the future of my children's generation and those to come.
In this age of mass school shootings, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker offers the same bold agenda of the National Rifle Association.
Make sure you remember in your thoughts and more importantly in your prayers.
While Walker offers platitudes, he blocks meaningful gun safety legislation.
It's really an honor to work with the NRA, not only in my state, but across the country. And I'm proud of my A+ ranking as a governor.
Walker weakened the gun laws in Wisconsin, and then he got $3.5 million worth of NRA support.
There have been men and women of courage who've been willing to stand up and think more about the future of their children and their grandchildren than they thought about their own futures.
Scott Walker, you are not one of them. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Hi, I'm Becky with Bounce Milwaukee, a progressive, local, family-owned entertainment center. We just want to remind you what it's like to be a kid again. Come on in for all ages fun. Bounce in our giant inflatables, race up the rock wall, dominate your friends in laser tag, or just relax in our bar or our massage chairs. Open 6 days a week with extended adult-only weekend hours. Find us at bouncemilwaukee.com.
Ignacio, what do you got for us today?
Hey, I quit paying attention for like maybe one day, and all hell breaks loose. That goes to show me I got to pay attention every single day to your radio program, or else who knows what'll happen.
If you don't listen to the Devil's Advocates 3 hours every day, Nacho, you're missing a lot.
You got that right. I just learned that today. I turned it on and I'm listening, and you really just rocked my world today. I was just totally blown away.
Save the $2 on tomorrow's paper. Listen to the Devil's Advocates today.
Totally blown away.
The Devil's Advocates. Political commentary from the back of the class.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show live on Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network. Also streaming this fine program on the YouTube and Facebook pages. The Twitter feed is at Devil Radio, and the talk text line 844-967-2789.
Dominic, we have been reviewing a Jesse Apoyan piece published at the Cap Times, found it online at Madison.com. It included a god-awful Scotty Wanker analogy. You know, Republicans, they're the market disruptors. Anyways, he analogizes, Dems, you know, we want regulations like setting a limit on the workday and driver's licenses. You know, we're the taxis, we're the old school, but they're Uber and Lyft, you know, where the passengers sometimes get sexually assaulted, where the drivers make like $9.31 an hour, and when, quite frankly, you don't really know if that guy up there in the driver's seat's got a license of any sort, you know, other than maybe a license to thrill. But, Dom, a couple of other notes. In the Plaidcast, Sean Duffy, Scott Walker, discussing it on his podcast. You know, super cool. People have radio shows, podcast. Anyways, asked to name his favorite Star Wars character. Oh, and before the break, I threw it out there. Who do you think Scott Walker would perceive his favorite Assembly Dem to be? Well, Dom, you know the answer to this question. But for all those waiting with bated breath at home, the answer, Peter Barca. And why Peter Barca? Of course, because he voted for Foxconn, and that's in no small part why Peter Barca is no longer the Assembly Minority Leader, because he was cast overboard by the Assembly Dems, because they knew Scott Walker would use this one-time vote as cover for his ass, because, of course, Foxconn a god-awful deal, but he can say, hey, me and Peter Barca, he's a reasonable guy. He voted for my position. But let's get to the Star Wars character question. Dom, who would you think Scott Walker's favorite Star Wars character is? Not who.
What were the little fur balls on the Ewoks? I would think maybe an Ewok. That seems more like Scott
Yep.
Walker's style. But according to Jesse Apoyan, Walker gave the obvious answer, Luke Skywalker.
I'd like to keep it on manual control for a while.
Luke Skywalker? I mean, what a mama's boy. Everybody knows Han Solo's the badass of Star Wars. Come on.
Now, I would envision Scott Walker more as a Darth Vader sort, but you and I discussed this off air, Dom, and you had a differing take. Who do you think Scott Walker, as a Star Wars character, would most resemble, my friend?
Jar Jar Binks. Cannot stand the way he sounds, and please go away now. 844-967-2789. Annie from Watertown. Don't go away. You're on the air. What do you think?
There's another one. I can't think of it. I think of, the sheer hypocrisy against these regulations. Didn't Trump's building not require
Donald Trump did not have
system,
sprinklers in Trump Tower. And
right,
first,
there was no regulation.
First, he lobbied against the regulation that would force him to put sprinklers in, and then he supported a regulation that would grandfather buildings of the age of his building from the necessity of retrofitting sprinklers. And, of course, he had a fatal fire in Trump Tower, but, it was a fine structure. Never mentioned the dead guy, Annie.
I think there was just a moment of sheer lunacy again with Udall was questioning Pruitt. I guess it was yesterday. Or this must have been yesterday. Anyway, he's calling Pruitt just disastrous and everything. And Pruitt said, well, there was no process. He didn't use the word regulation. There was no process to prevent him from all these abuses. So, it wasn't his fault.
They didn't tell me I couldn't do it, Annie, so I did what I could get away with.
I didn't know you couldn't do that.
Wow.
Come back with us. More Devil's Advocates, the happy hour, almost upon us. Jar Jar Binks, I do think that's appropriate. I see him more as a Bobo Fett hiding the bald spot under the helmet. That's more where I would see Scotty Walker.
844-967-2789. You can join us on the phones. We'll take more callers in the happy hour coming up next. Stick around.
They'd like to take me out for a lot of reasons far bigger than just this election.
Perhaps you think you're being treated unfairly?
I can't. It's too big.
I find that answer vague and unconvincing.
In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept Realtors sell many more homes per year than the average agent. That's experience you can count on. If you're thinking of selling, call 414-258-7778 for an agent that specializes in your area for ideas on price, marketing, and staging your home. The more you know, you'll wisely choose Homeowners Concept 3.9% Realtors. HomeownersConcept.com.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
You concerned about speaking up at work? Do you feel like you have no say in your day-to-day work routine? Join Teamsters Local 344. Call 414-258-4545. Get a seat at the table. Join your brothers and sisters in negotiating for better wages, hours, and working conditions, and be part of the most powerful union in North America. Teamsters Local 344 covers sales and service throughout Southeast Wisconsin and package and airlines statewide. Contact Teamsters Local 344 at 414-258-4545 or at local344.org.
Tune in to The Resistance, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio. Start your weekday off with the Earl Ingram Show from 7 to 9 a.m. Next is the Stephanie Miller Show from 9 to 11. Then from 11 to 2, it's the Tom Hartman Program. At 2 o'clock, it's 414 Wisconsin. Then from 3 to 6, it's the Devil's Advocates. Mandatory listening. Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Payment disclosed, FBI warning. I'm Barbara Cusack. Acknowledgement by President Trump in a financial disclosure form that he repaid his lawyer Michael Cohen more than $100,000 for expenses incurred during the 2016 presidential election.
The value in the form is in the $100,000 to $250,000 category, but President Trump's newer personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, recently disclosed that Mr. Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen for the $130,000 hush money payment to Stormy Daniels. Cohen said he paid Daniels just days before the 2016 election, but the repayment disclosure is for last year. Those who helped fill out the president's form claim the payment to Cohen did not have to be disclosed, but was being done for the sake of transparency. The Office of Government Ethics disagreed, saying the repayment information had to be included by law. Bob Costantini, Washington.
FBI Director Christopher Wray told a Senate panel the Bureau has concerns about the possibility of the Chinese telecom firm ZTE gaining a powerful position in the U.S. market.
That gives them the capacity to maliciously modify or steal information, that gives them the capacity to conduct undetected espionage, that gives them the capacity to exert pressure or control.
Instrumental in stopping a gunman at a school in Illinois today, a police officer assigned to the high school.
Dixon Police Chief Steve Howell said a student who had been expelled came to the school with a gun and fired several shots near the gym where other students were taking part in a graduation run-through.
While pursuing the suspect shot several rounds towards the officer, at which time the officer returned fire and struck the suspect.
The 19-year-old gunman was wounded and taken to a local hospital. No one else was injured. I'm Steve Kastenbaum.
There's nearly 24 more cases of E. coli linked to romaine lettuce grown in Arizona. The CDC says that brings the number of food poisoning cases to 172 across 32 states. I'm Barbara Cusack.
Brad Zog, owner of Zero Res Madison. Brad, why should people use Zero Res Madison?
Why wouldn't you clean your carpets like this? We've got a patented system. We also do another step that most people don't do. We have a double rotating brush machine that we use when we pre-treat the carpet. So this helps dig up any of that stuff that's deeper in your carpet that the vacuum doesn't get. We're going to provide that intermediary step before we clean with our empowered water.
Call Zero Res today, 608-848-9000. Zero Res. Spell it forward or backward. It's the right way to clean.
Hey folks, sexy liberal Stephanie Miller here. Most new Wisconsin jobs are in Dane County, it's true. Some of my listeners are relocating to Madison. Many already commute there. When asked where to turn for a trusted real estate team that understands Madison, I say the same thing. Solidarity Realty. They help you through the process and protect your consumer rights. They live their values, building community, promoting sustainability and diversity. Find them today at solidarityrealty.com and tell them Stephanie Miller sent you.
EPA head Scott Pruitt took heat during what was supposed to be a budget meeting.
Excoriating may be putting it mildly as senators took their shots at Pruitt.
Your tenure at the EPA is a betrayal of the American people.
First-class travel and your special phone booths and all these things that just make you a laughingstock.
Vermont's Patrick Leahy and New Mexico's Tom Udall at what was supposed to be a routine budget hearing that became a recounting of Pruitt's questionable spending. Pruitt says he made mistakes, but the issue detracts from the EPA's new mission.
We can achieve both good environmental outcomes and pro-growth policies.
But some senators again called for Pruitt to resign. Rich Johnson, Washington.
Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau urged graduates of New York University not to cocoon themselves in an ideological bubble, saying it's far too easy to only engage with people we agree with. I'm Barbara Cusack.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
We got Mark Pocan, be it bone. Mark, does Paul Ryan hate poor people?
Oh, he hates poor people and middle-class people. I mean, I think when he was probably 5 years old playing with Play-Doh, trying to, adjust the taxes on Play-Doh. So, to be fair, I think he's doing what he always said he was going to do. It's just no one actually believed he was either that cruel, evil, or dumb to do it.
The Devil's Advocates, weekday afternoons on 1510 AM, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Representative Ron Kind, Democrat from La Crosse, says the new federal farm bill must help Wisconsin farmers dealing with low commodity and dairy prices. Kind is proposing several amendments to the farm bill, including setting an income limit for crop insurance recipients so the subsidies don't go to millionaires and billionaires, reinstating the Conservation Stewardship Program to protect topsoil and avoid runoff, and reforming the crop insurance program to lower the guaranteed rate of return for insurance companies. And the forecast for Milwaukee: sunshine today, mostly clear tonight, lows around 50 degrees, sunshine tomorrow, highs in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, upper 70s in Madison, and then Friday sunshine with highs in the upper 60s, upper 70s in Madison. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The following program is a presentation of DC Communications, LLC. Warning, you are about to listen to the greatest radio show ever. And due to contractual obligations and to shield our airwaves corporate licensees from any semblance of liability, responsibility, and gullibility, we must tell you the views represented on this show are not necessarily those of this station or its management. This radio show contains differing points of view on current political topics, and due to the nature of its contents, it should be heard by everyone. Thank you for listening. Now live from the heart of liberal Wisconsin, where the political party is just beginning, welcome to the Devil's Advocate Show. Best friends proving it's never personal, only politics.
Please allow me to introduce myself.
Now here are your hosts, Dom and Crute.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show. Dom, we're sliding into the 5 o'clock happy hour. And I'm happy because I don't have to commute home tonight, so put that one in my hat. Dom, not quite done with the hashtag Walker bashing. I think there's still some more meat on the Jesse Apoyan piece. What about his Twitter habits, Dom?
Jesse Apoyan. And what about the philosophy behind Walker's famously bland social media presence? A lot of it is just, here are things I like, Walker said. Duffy interrupted. You had a picture of just a piece of pizza or your Culver's burger with a Miller High Life right behind it. That's great artwork that you're popping up there. Walker then shared a tip. Actually, if you go onto Google Photos, which is a great app, you can actually get it to bedazzle your pictures along the way and sparkle along the way.
Well, he is a bedazzling governor in his own right. 844-967-2789. A little more Walker bashing in the happy hour. Let's get to our friend, L.A. Tom. Tom, how you doing, man? You're an expat badger. You could still bash on the governor, can't you?
Absolutely. First off, we the people are the government. And second off, I seem to remember when Green Bay was playing Seattle, the Packers playing the Seahawks a few years back, and they had those scrub refs, and how upset Paul Ryan was when...
Oh, there's Tom. Where's Tom?
I think NSA or Paul Ryan's people took L.A. Tom out.
Hey, Tom, give us a call back, 844-967-2789.
You sure it wasn't you with the sticky finger over there, Gary?
I didn't touch it. Hey, he's calling back right now. Let's get him. Hey, Tom, welcome back. Sorry about that, buddy. What do you got for us?
All right, guys, I won't say my first thing again. I remember, I don't know if I repeated this or not, but when the Packers played the Seahawks and they had the scrub referees in there, how when the Packers got screwed, how upset everybody was and how upset Paul Ryan was. But, regulation is nothing more than referees on the field. And if you want to take all the referees off your, out of your sports teams, off the the Bucks and the Packers and all of that and see how well the game goes. I mean, there's your analogy in terms of the difference between Democrats and Republicans, is that we're just a little bit more responsible and we do things for we the people and try to protect we the people rather than just the billionaires. And the Republicans seem to just impose their own regulations.
Or they pay off the refs,
everyone.
Tom. It's one thing. Refs sometimes refs make a bad call. People are human. We make mistakes, but it's about keeping the game even and following the rules. The analogy would be that perhaps the Republicans, well, they're in there, they're betting on one side. Maybe they're doing some sports betting, Tom, and everybody's holding. So, they tip the game, they pay off the refs. Maybe that's the analogy.
Absolutely, or they don't want the referees on the field at all, and that would just be absolute chaos in any game that you're playing.
Hey, Tom, real quick, buddy, if I had the message discipline that you show on your whole We the People campaign, I might still be running for something, buddy.
I would have loved to have been your campaign manager.
Hey, Tom, I know you're a football fan yourself. I got an analogy, and it's not quite the referees, although, of course, Republicans pay off the referees or they attack the referees. But I look back to, remember the Tom Osborne, Nebraska days when Nebraska would suit up like 200 scholarship players and nobody else would have nearly that sort of manpower. We went to a college, UW La Crosse, in AIA. Before Title IX hit, Roger Herring, the head football coach at La Crosse, would let anybody suit up on game day. Every talented player in the entire state of Wisconsin would go to La Crosse. Whether or not you ever set foot on the field, you got to be on the sideline and wear the jersey. I mean, there'd be like 6 number 47s on the sidelines. Well, that's the gerrymandering. They stack the deck. They attack the referees. I mean, it's above and beyond simply just going after the referees. They want to make sure they've got an unfair advantage in every way, shape, or form. And you may not know this, Tom, but the Republicans had their convention here in the state of Wisconsin last weekend. Part of my understanding of their newest proposed platform, eliminate same-day voter registration, make college kids vote in their own hometown, because you got a lot of kids coming to the state of Wisconsin to go to college. And I would point out, even the partisan primary in the state of Wisconsin this year falls on the day before all the kids have to move out of their dorms. I mean, it is going to be chaos. I mean, better have it fall opposite the partisan primary. But, of course, Republicans, contrary to the Scott Walker Uber analogy on campus, there's like 9 young Republicans on every campus. And otherwise, it's pretty much Dems or those looking for a party. They're certainly not turning Republican red out there on campus.
I absolutely agree 100%.
I bet you Republicans don't believe in Title IX either. Screw that. Screw women's sports. We're going to carry 200 on the football team.
Thanks for the call, Tom. Always appreciate your input, my friend. 844-967-2789 if you'd like to join us on the happy hour line.
Actually, they do. I just wanted to say they do actually hate Title IX. They're actually going after it. My brother's a Title IX investigator. Betsy DeVos is systematically destroying it. So, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, but that's more the Title IX, the rapes on campus thing. And, I'm talking the Title IX where they try to create equity on athletic fields. Up in La Crosse, Roger Herring was doing the same thing. Every month he would have to turn in his roster. And the year they started enforcing Title IX on campus, I was the sports editor of the fine university paper, The Racket. Well, Roger, and, I'm a football guy. I always love me some football. Hell, I got my first job on campus from Roger Herring. So a little cronyism going on perhaps. But Roger would submit a different 100-man roster every month. And by about the 3rd month then, the athletic director looked it up and realized the guy had rotated like 180 players through on his roster, and they were forcing Barb Simpson, the women's basketball coach, to carry 16 players on her team, even though they only gave her 12 uniforms and 12 per diems. And they fired her for refusing to sign 16 players to her women's basketball team.
How do you sign 16 players when you don't have 16 uniforms?
I think it's something to do with Title IX, Dom. They were creating statistical equity. And, of course, football, a hard sport to overcome. Wisconsin no longer has a baseball program. A lot of Title IX effects. But, of course, Republicans, they don't care about no Title IX. Let me jump in. Do we have time? Let's maybe take an early break, and we'll come back, because I got some Walker bashing to do.
There's more? There's more?
There is much more. The headline at the Urban Milwaukee Online Daily, 8 bad rankings where our state leads. We're number 1 under Walker in a number of different metrics, Dom. And, of course, your calls always welcome in the happy hour throughout this great show. 844-967-2789. Let's not forget, you can tweet us out. You can, at Devil Radio, and you can text that very same line, 844-967-2789. You're listening to Wisconsin's only Resistance Radio Network. We're Dom and Crute. We're the Devil's Advocates. You know us. We're kind of a big deal.
I can't. It's too big.
Let me light your candle coals, so mama, I'm sure all the hand and I just around. Yeah. So hard to handle. Are you with me? Wank.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
They'll challenge your authority, because that's what kids do. But this car is your territory, and in here, your word is law. So when you say you won't move until everyone's buckled up, you won't budge an inch until you hear that click. Never give up until they buckle up. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. For more information, visit safercar.gov/kidsbuckleup.
I'm Jesse Pika-Holz with Solidarity Realty. If you're looking for a home in Madison or Dane County, call me. I know Madison. I know homes. I'll protect your best interests. Call Solidarity Realty at 608-284-9311 or search solidarityrealty.com.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
On marijuana, unfortunately, as a public health issue and a public safety issue, I've opposed that.
Dr. Sanjay Gupta, how can medical marijuana help those addicted to opioids?
There's 3 big things. There's clear consensus now that cannabis can treat pain. That is not an opinion. That is a consensus conclusion by big scientific bodies like the National Academy of Science. We also know that it can help treat the withdrawal symptoms of opioids. People, they don't want to be on them anymore. They want to quit, but they develop the terrible withdrawal symptoms. And now we have evidence that it can actually help heal the part of the brain that is diseased in someone who's an opioid addict. If you had to start from scratch and design a substance to help lead us out of the opioid epidemic, like in a lab, it would probably look very much like cannabis.
Call Governor Scott Walker at 608-266-1212. Tell him good people do smoke marijuana. This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sandbag, a doctor. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact and can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most.
In the wake of a hurricane, your monetary donation can make a huge difference to those in need. To donate, visit supporthurricanerelief.org. That's supporthurricanerelief.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
James Santelle, he's a former U.S. attorney. He's our guest live on Brady.
Once again, a pleasure to be with you, gentlemen, to talk about the latest news breaking as we speak.
The FBI raided Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney, but once they got there, then they went back and got a more thorough warrant and said, we'll take everything.
My first reaction is you need to teach criminal constitutional law. You've got it just right in terms of the process.
They are kind of a big deal.
This is a really big deal.
The Devil's Advocates, where there's always time for Scott Walker bashing. Hashtag Walker bashing.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. It's happy hour. We'd be happy if you joined us on the lines or text us at 844-967-2789.
Hey, Dominic, I got a little list. 8 bad rankings where state leads for worst repaired roads, small farm bankruptcies, and 6 other categories. James Rowan found this one at the online daily urbanmilwaukee.com. I'm going to read from it. Governor Scott Walker is spending a lot of our money to lure workers here, and data show why. Wisconsin has landed on the moving out, not moving up, moving out top 10 list. For the record, Wisconsin was not on the 2017 list. Also, for the record, Wisconsin public defenders are paid the least in the country, $40 an hour, which doesn't sound like a bad rate until you realize they don't get paid continuously for 40 hours a week. $40 an hour, a rate unchanged since 1995.
When it was reduced from $50 an hour.
Oh, you're going to bring that up?
A minor detail. Perhaps, they don't want the accused to have proper and highly paid representation to defend themselves? Because, hell, they wouldn't feed the prison industry then.
We ranked 32nd in job growth, down from 29th, with falling average wages, data show. Here's an inset, Dom. It also continues a trend of Wisconsin being ranked in the bottom half of states for job growth. Wisconsin hasn't ranked higher than 27th for any 12-month period over the last 4+ years. Dom, we're also ranked number 1 in escalating opioid ER admissions.
Go team.
Emergency room visits for suspected opioid overdoses increased 109% in Wisconsin from July of 2016 to September of 2017, the highest spike amongst 16 states closely tracked, federal health officials said Tuesday. Dom, here's another category. We're number 1.
Yeah.
In small farm bankruptcies.
No.
Federal court data shows the Western District of Wisconsin had the highest number of Chapter 12 farm bankruptcies in the nation in 2017. This isn't Jim Doyle's recession anymore, Scott Walker. I read on, and that's only a glimpse into the problem, since Chapter 12 is a relatively rare tool used in bankruptcies. By one measurement, we are number 12 among states with wells out of compliance with federal health codes, a ranking not surprising given the massive documented well water contamination in northeastern Wisconsin. Unneeded regulations.
Yeah, we don't need those regulations.
Also, I think our friend Wisco Paul would tell you this one. Wisconsin is second in the worst repaired roads. The decline is persistent. You see Mark Gottlieb, Scott Walker's
former Republican
DOT director for the last 6 years, has become Scott Walker's biggest critic. How could you not be? The man has no solutions. But I'm going to wrap this one up. James Rowan's piece at the Urban Milwaukee Online Daily. Oh, but the state is a leader in recent state handouts, environmental exemptions, clean air, and water disregard. Quite a record for Governor Scott Walker's re-election campaign. Or so writes James Rowan.
I think it's timely. I mean, of course, we've heard, we talk about messaging, and Governor Walker is great at his messaging. And one of the things he continues to beat is this top 10 this and top 10 that. Now, how many of those top 10s are the result of his and the Republicans' actual governance, I think can be challenged. But certainly there are things that we are failing the citizens in the state of Wisconsin. And Rowan writes quite a list here. And I think the most damning one with regards to economic activity is being last in the country in entrepreneurial activity. That is just shameful. That is shameful. People, why is that? Well, hell, we got to go to the top of that list because Wisconsin has landed on the moving out top 10 list, and they were not on that list just last year in 2017. So people leave the state. I'm wondering how much influence the political climate here, the governance of the Republicans in the state have to do with that activity.
Well, there's been a teacher exodus. I think there's been a lot of good people that have left the state of Wisconsin. We have chosen to stay and fight like hell. Dom, another quick headline I want to throw out there, urbanmilwaukee.com. Foxconn deal will actually lose jobs.
What?
The trump card against any criticism of Foxconn subsidy, whether by environmentalists, taxpayers, or economists, is that this embrace of corporate welfare will create Wisconsin jobs, perhaps as many as 13,000. Some advocates of this $4.1 billion taxpayer subsidy like to claim they're free market conservatives.
Right.
They are not. They use their use of taxpayer dollars is inconsistent with the very market principles they profess to hold. Applying those principles leads to the question, how many jobs will be lost, not how many jobs will be created. There is no reason to expect that this government interference in the workings of the market will produce even one net new job and will likely lead to more sluggish growth and lost opportunity. I'm going to read briefly on. Will the jobs be held by state residents? The consultant's estimates for job creation assumes that the preponderance of Foxconn employees, their suppliers, and their suppliers' employees will be from Wisconsin. But there's no guarantee that even a large fraction of their employees and suppliers will be Wisconsin taxpaying residents. Given the excellent freeway access to northern Illinois, surely many workers from out of state can be expected to commute to Racine for the Wisconsin-subsidized jobs. Similarly, suppliers need not be in Wisconsin, as many of Foxconn's needed electronic components can be shipped from anywhere in the world by air freight. But it gets worse. Let's assume for the sake of argument that all the suppliers and all the workers do reside in Wisconsin. Even then, the estimate of 13,000 new jobs is still terribly misleading. The estimate is a gross job figure, not a net job figure. The correct way to determine job impact of the subsidy requires the calculation of the net figure, the difference between the jobs expected at Foxconn minus the jobs foregone where the money came from. The subsidy is money diverted from Wisconsin locales. It could have been used on job-creating economic activities such as education, health, transportation, sewers, waters. That is, the jobs estimate must consider the fundamental concept in economics, the opportunity cost of money. And Dom, I don't know if you know this. I learned this from Data Walks yesterday. You know when they calculated the future payback on Foxconn, they did not factor in the cost of the money. They're using 2018 dollars 25 years in the future to calculate that this is a swell deal for the state of Wisconsin. It's a horrible deal. Come back with us. We are the greatest. You know it. You'll be back.
Are you with me?
No, man. I believe you get your ass kicked saying something like that,
Adopt
man.
US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her.
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge.
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man to man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
You are listening to 1510 AM WRRD Waukesha, Milwaukee, and 1580 AM WTTN Columbus, Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
Do you own a rental property, or would you like to partner with a rental investment team? Call the pros you can trust at CCL Management. Rental expertise second to none, a general contractor on staff to direct repairs and improvements, and real estate brokerage services tailored to the small investor. If you're ready to invest in rental property or just need professionals to manage your real estate portfolio, call us, CCL Management, at 608-833-0009 or visit us on the web at cclmanagement.com.
So, Jesse, why should someone buying a home pay for an agent when they can go online or call the number on a for sale sign?
Great questions. First of all, never call the number on a sign to see a home. That's the seller's agent, and they don't represent your interests. If they show you a home outside of an open house, you forfeit your ability to have someone negotiate in your corner at no cost to you.
Well, with interest rates still at historic lows, how can buyers still get a great deal and protect their rights?
Step 1, find a buyer's agent that you trust. Your agent will best find the home that fits your needs, anticipate problems, and negotiate on your behalf from offer through closing day. And most home listing contracts stipulate that the seller's agent pays for the buyer's commission.
Solidarity Realty. They're real, they're solid, they're honest. Whether buying or selling in Madison or Dane County, call Solidarity Realty, 608-284-9311, or find them at solidarityrealty.com.
It's a lot easier to measure how many times students use a semicolon correctly in an essay.
Educated educators talking education.
Than it is to measure how many wonderful ideas are in that essay.
Busted Pencils.
There is no teacher shortage.
With Dr. Tim Slecker.
There is a teacher exit.
Featuring Matt Damon's mom.
You want to know what my mom would say?
We've had an intrusion into education.
Busted Pencils Radio. Saturdays at 11 on Resistance Radio.
For Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network, I'm Stu Daniels with your headlines. Primary special elections were held yesterday in the 2 Wisconsin legislative districts that Governor Walker wanted to leave vacant. The general elections for those 2 districts will be held on June 12th. And Wisconsin's Supreme Court is considering a case to determine how much authority the superintendent of schools should have. In the case, Governor Walker says Tony Evers should not be allowed to choose his own attorney. Instead, Walker has appointed Attorney General Brad Schimmel, who sides with Walker to represent Evers. And the forecast for Milwaukee: sunshine today, mostly clear tonight, lows around 50 degrees. Sunshine tomorrow, highs in the mid-50s in Milwaukee, upper 70s in Madison. And then Friday, sunshine with highs in the upper 60s. Upper 70s in Madison. I'm Stu Daniels for Wisconsin's Resistance Radio Network.
The Devil's Advocates. They refuse to do math on the radio.
Welcome back to the Devil's Advocates Radio Show, talking about the disastrous deal that is Foxconn. You know, I'm glad Peter Barca voted for it, but I think it's going to be the boondoggle that perhaps ends Scott Walker's political viability. Please, God, from my lips to your ears. Let me jump back into the body of this Urban Milwaukee piece. Now, the Urban Milwaukee piece, Foxconn deal will actually lose jobs. William Holohan and Charles Kroenke, they're both economists, Dom, but back to the body of their piece. Here's what I think is important for our audience to know. Free market principles offer an even sterner warning. It is the role of the market, not the state, to pick winning and losing firms through the profit and loss system. It's the role of the state to support the market by supplying those public goods, roads, infrastructure, educated citizenry, air quality, water quality, etc., that the market cannot provide efficiently. Moreover, the state should finance these functions by collecting the needed taxes, employing user charges whenever feasible, since these user taxes and fees embody another market principle. Require people to pay for what they use. When the state reverses those roles and diverts tax dollars, as they do in the Foxconn subsidy, it is denying the state the benefit of the efficiency of the market system and of the efficient provision of public goods. If the subsidy were spent on job creation elsewhere in the state, let's say subsidizing entrepreneurship, small businesses, Dom, it is likely to produce several times 13,000 jobs. Business writer John Turinas calculates the average subsidy per new job created in Wisconsin. This is the historical reference, Tom. The benchmark, about $23,000 per job. This is far less than the roughly $200,000 per job estimated in the Foxconn deal. At that rate, subsidizing other entrepreneurs with $4.1 billion would yield approximately 90,000 new jobs. The diversion of tax money to Foxconn subsidy results in the lost opportunity to add many more jobs to the Wisconsin economy and to add them over the entire state, not merely in the southeast corner. And Dom, the question of payback. Now, I pointed out, Dana Walks and I had a nice talk, and I don't think he'd mind me sharing this portion. Dana Walks said he had an economist look at the Foxconn deal. And here's something he pointed out that I had not heard before. The time value of money is not factored in. It's not baked into the cake. So when Wisconsin offers $2018 and talks about getting paid back, made whole in 25 years in $2,043, one would think that they, factored in inflation. But they did not, according to Dana Walks, gubernatorial candidate, who strongly and vehemently opposes this Foxconn deal. Effectively, Dom, no one calculated the math using inflation in the equation.
It's stunning to me that time value of money would not be part of the calculation. Weren't the initial estimates done by the Legislative Fiscal Bureau? Or was that provided? I'll have to do some research.
I'm not sure
on this.
that Walker didn't use Wiedek and outside consultants. I'm not sure that the LFB did all these calculations. But I read on from these two fine economists this article at the urbanmilwaukee.com. No, I repeat, no payback. When's the state of Wisconsin get paid back? Never. Let me read on. Much has been made of the taxpayers' payback year, often estimated as 2044. However, since there is no net addition of jobs, and with the likely loss of economic potential because the market is not permitted to do its job efficiently, a payback year simply doesn't exist. The use of the payback formula in this context is a distraction. Free market principles warn that taxpayers will never get their money back. Final paragraph here. Too late to stop this diversion of tax dollars? ? It may be too late to stop the Foxconn subsidy from going forward. It is not too late, however, for voters to reconsider voting for the politicians who put in place and to oppose any future effort to use taxpayer dollars to bypass the competitive marketplace. The state would be much better served by truly following the free market principles. Again, William Holohan is emeritus professor and former chair of the Department of Economics at UW-Milwaukee, and Charles Kroenke served as a professor and associate dean of business at UW-Madison, as well as dean of the School of Business at UW-Milwaukee. These aren't a couple of raving liberals, Dom, telling us we never get paid back because, of course, this is dollars squandered. And when you talk about creation of 13,000 jobs, they're saying horse hockey, if we invest $200,000 in jobs per job, we should be able to create 10 jobs, not a single job. So Their calculation, 90,000 jobs for the sort of incentive. I mean, you could direct hire for like 10 years.
No doubt.
Right?
Yes.
Who pays a foreign corporation $200,000 for each job created, quote unquote, which may go to Flatlanders, in which Robin Voss, Assembly Speaker in the state of Wisconsin, Republican, it's his district, they've now shifted these well-paying jobs to mean $15 an hour, Dom. $15 an hour jobs, we're paying $200,000 each as taxpayers, because we're on the hook for this deal. Scott Walker just signed the napkin. We get to pay the bill. $200,000 for every $15 an hour job created. What do you think the payback will be on wage taxation against the worker? Because let's not forget, Scott Walker's also got a manufacturing and agribusiness tax credit. Even if highly profitable in the state of Wisconsin, Foxconn would pay effectively no taxes to us, because Scott Walker also gave that perk primarily to billionaires and, you know, his campaign donors, Tom. It's all good for them. It only costs us, the taxpayers, $350 million a year to subsidize Diane Hendricks and Foxconn.
Wow, that is some stunning information. I think we perhaps need to reach out to the UW-Milwaukee economics professor, Crudy. And also, one other factor that this doesn't take into account is, what is the market going to look like? I found this one on Nikkei's Asian Review from Kotaro Hasakawa. China's panel makers take big bite out of $40 billion smartphone display panel. Japanese and South Korean rivals feel the heat as oversupply risk looms. I'm just going to read a couple of paragraphs. In the past 2 years, 8 plants have been set up in China to produce smartphone panels. Pardon. 5 more are scheduled to start operating in the next 2 years. Backed by massive state funding, Chinese panel makers are taking a bigger bite of the market for smartphone display panels, which has so far been dominated by Japanese and South Korean makers. As the smartphone market slows, Chinese panel makers have increased their capital investment, even at the expense of profitability, in a bid to close the gap with Japanese and South Korean rivals, who are finding it more difficult to maintain their technological edge as the Chinese acquire more sophisticated production technologies. As seen in other key industries, such as steel and solar panels, the display panel sector could be heading for oversupply risks triggered by breakneck expansion of Chinese manufacturers. Now, what does that mean? Well, if all of a sudden there's lots of these display panels being produced around the world, well, perhaps they're not going to need as many produced here in Wisconsin at the Foxconn factory. Well, what happens then? Well, that drives prices, right? Now the prices for these panels go down. Well, at the risk of profitability per the article. Well, what effect does that have on the local labor market?
Well, they can be replaced readily with robotics, Tom, at our taxpayer expense.
And what did phone displays look like 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? And what's going to look like in another 10 or 20 or 30 years from now? Who's to say we're not going to have the contact with the heads-up display in our eyes? We're not going to even have these kinds of technologies, perhaps, in 30 years when we're still paying. We're still waiting to get paid back on the old technology, which will be old technology in 30 years. We'll still be trying to get our money back from this deal. And if they did not take into account the time value of money and calculated a payback, that is egregious.
Maybe Walker will invest us as state taxpayers in Bitcoin next time, because how could that possibly go wrong, right?
Right.
Tell you what, let's take a break. Let's come back. We'll set up the special elections. How did Andre Jock make it through?
What?
In the first senatorial district special election. His brother, a little profane himself last night. I don't think Andre Jock's brother is a big fan. Sort of like Kevin Nicholson's family giving money to Tammy. Well, there's another article, an op-ed, if you will, Dom. We'll come back with it. Bill Winicky, Bookmer's endorsement is Wisconsin disgrace. Nurse Ratchet, Dom's girl. More Devil's Advocates on the other side. You can always join us on the phones, 844-967-2789.
You wouldn't hire me to be a neurosurgeon. You wouldn't hire me to run condos. You wouldn't hire me to run HP. You probably wouldn't hire me to run the United States Senate.
Wanker.
Aren't you ashamed?
I'm Andy Buck, and I'm proud to be union.
Tell me about the underground economy.
Well, the underground economy is essentially workers being exploited, and they're being exploited all over the state. They're working for no benefits, no retirement, and if you don't join your brothers and sisters, you don't respect your craft.
Andy, why should I hire union?
Crudy, you should hire union because you want the job done right the first time. We represent the highest skilled, safety-trained workers in the industries that we represent. Glazers, painters, and drywall finishers. Join us. Painters and Allied Trades, District Council 7.
Hi, I'm Anton Capella, Chief Technology Officer at Five Nines. Five Nines is more than just our name. It's the level of service you can expect. We provide 99.999% uptime. That's the highest availability and performance you can get. You have enough to worry about with your business data, web, security, and cloud services, so we'll manage your IT so you don't have to. Visit 59s.com. That's the number 5NINES.com.
180 over 111, and I had a stroke. I couldn't speak or walk.
150 over 90, and I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure sounds like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from silent. Get back on your treatment plan or talk with your doctor to create a plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Head to toe, everything's changed.
Brought to you by the American Stroke Association, American Medical Association, and the Ad Council.
Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean. Join the resistance against dirty carpets. Call Zero Res Madison today for our summer special. Clean and sanitize 3 rooms for only $139. Call 608-848-9000 or schedule online at ZeroResMadison.com. Zero Res, spell it forward or backward, it's the right way to clean.
Wisconsin's doing terribly. The roads are a disaster because they don't have any money to rebuild them. They're borrowing money like crazy. They projected a $1 billion surplus, and it turns out to be a deficit of $2.2 billion. The schools are a disaster. The hospitals and education is a disaster. And when I see Scott Walker with his little motorcycle and he puts his helmet on and he gets off and he makes a speech, but he's always riding like, he gets off a bike like he's a big tough guy, okay, or a little tough guy. Their lobbyists, their special interests, and their donors will start calling. They gave you $1 million to your campaign, and this one gave you $5 million, and this one, you have to do it. You know what he's going to say? Okay, I'll do it.
Mr. Trump, you're using the talking points of the Democrats, and as we all know, that I'm using facts.
This message was paid for by the People for People Corporation. Donate online at p4ppc.org, p4ppc.org.
Man, do I love card night. You ready, boys? You got a king?
Go, fish dad.
Oh, come on. This is WWE superstar Titus O'Neil. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today. Learn more at 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
The Devil's Advocates.
My Congresswoman Gwen Moore.
I think that you guys are filling a very important space. I think African Americans consume radio at a very high rate. And they really rely on radio for information. And so, word of warning to all those candidates out there, don't ignore these inexpensive ways to advertise.
Well, wait until we get our FM. They're going to get more expensive all the time.
Radio for the 99%.
Hello, I'm Mr. Red.
The Devil's Advocates, tackling the issues you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table.
And no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Red.
And we are back. Thank you for listening to the Devil's Advocates radio show. Last segment of the day. So if you got something to say, now's the time. 844-967-2789.
Dom, special elections, at least Republican primaries thereof, yesterday held in the great state of Wisconsin. I found it ironic that State Rep Andre Jacques Big Andre, did not have the support of the Republican establishment. I mean, even guys like Joint Finance Committee co-chair John Nygren didn't go for their boy. They went for some other unproven guy, and apparently Jacques held serve last night, got like 4,300 votes. The other guy got like 4,000 votes. So Jacques is the Republican nominee for the first senatorial district special election. Caleb Frostman, the Democratic nominee, and let's not forget, this is the election Scott Walker had to be forced by count it not one, not two, but 3 courts to do the right thing. But, sort of in a Kevin Nicholson-like fashion, and I saw this on Twitter last night, Pierre Jacques, apparently this is Andre Jacques' brother, tweeted out profanely last night, Dom, and I'd like to read a couple of them briefly. I'll try to take the profanities out. It breaks my heart to take my brother's side on an issue, but if we all can't come together to stop horse effing, we're all horse effers. Let's not forget, Andre Jacques put forth legislation to make having carnal relations with the farmyard animal a felony.
No, sir, I didn't like it.
One more. Actually, Jessie Apoyan found this one and retweeted. She put her own commentary, but I'm going to read the original, minus the profanities. Again, Pierre Jacques, brother of the new senatorial Republican nominee in the first. My brother, Andre, won his primary. He's still a Republican, but I'm proud of some of the good stuff he does, like, and in all caps, in a very Trumpian fashion, try to stop people from effing horses.
Okay.
I mean, how else could one troll?
Oh, so I'm on Pierre Jacques' Twitter feed right now. In the last several hours, he's tweeted out to, let's see, PetSmart Petco, okay, Duffy for Wisconsin. He's tweeted out to the WIS GOP, Rebecca for Real, Rep. Jarko, Rep. Jesse Kremer, Rep. Janelle, Rep. Ed Brooks, essentially saying, so horse effing is a rural issue. Why isn't that a felony in Wisconsin? Here's one. Hey, Rep. Janelle, any thoughts on why Republican Senate Republicans didn't vote to condemn animal sex abuse? Question mark.
I can't. It's too big.
Is it the stance of the GOP that horse effing is okay? Hey, Jesse Kremer, why isn't it a felony to F horses in Wisconsin? If you don't know, can you find out and let me know? Also, keep up the good work on industrial hemp. Well done.
Back door, huh? Good idea.
I mean, wow, Pierre, lighten him up. And he does bring up a good point, and I'm assuming this is his brother. We don't know, but it seems to be. Republicans, why are you not passing the bill to make horse effing a felony?
Well, they've got their priorities, Dom, like making poor people pee in a cup.
Oh, hey, that's right.
Let's talk about your little filly, Aaliyah Bookmer. Dom, there's an op-ed I'd like you to share what the author writes about the embrace of Nurse Ratched, Leah Bookmer.
I found this one on Channel 3000. Bill Wenicky, do you have some Bookmer music, some walk-up music for me and my girl? There we go. Here we go again. Aaliyah from Bill Wenicky to Channel 3000. The Republican Party of Wisconsin endorsed State Senator Leah Bookmer as its preferred candidate to take on U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin this fall. Bookmer has already shown she's a class act by branding Baldwin a member of Team Terrorists in a brochure that shows Baldwin and Khalik Sheikh Mohammed, one of the masterminds of the 9/11 attacks, side by side. Why would Bookmer suggest such a slander? Because Baldwin has not yet endorsed President Donald Trump's nominee for CIA Director Gina Haspel. Haspel has been criticized for overseeing a CIA torture facility during the administration of President George W. Bush. This apparently is what the Republican Party of Wisconsin has become. It gives 73% of its endorsement vote to a candidate who links her opponent to terrorism. Let me just hazard a guess here. Tommy Thompson wouldn't have done that. Thompson was one of the most effective governors this state has ever elected. Many of us disagreed with his policies, but he got them enacted, and he did so without comparing his opponents to mass murder. In fact, the real difference between Thompson and Bookmer is that Thompson is a decent person.
Ouch!
Vukmir may have valid personal qualities. She may like children and pets, but Tammy Baldwin does not side with terrorists. You know that, I know that, and Leah Vukmir knows that. Vukmir libels her opponent simply because Vukmir is representative of what her party has become in the age of Trump. She's not an original, of course. Those of us who are old enough remember that Wisconsin was the home of Senator Joseph McCarthy, who made his name by accusing, falsely, patriotic Americans of being communists. Indecent politics is part of our state heritage. But Wisconsin is also home of Republicans like Thompson, Warren Knowles, and Lee Sherman Dreyfus. For that matter, Wisconsin is the home of Senator Ron Johnson, who, at a minimum, has at least disavowed Vukmir's libel. I have to think there must remain some Republicans in our state who don't hold Donald Trump as a role model, who really think they can campaign on personality and ideas. I have to think that. But if they're there, they are remaining, unfortunately, silent. Baldwin, I am sure, can take care of herself, but I'm not so sure that the Republican Party can survive another descent into McCarthyism.
You think that even stings a little, Dom?
Bill Winicky. No, I don't think so. I mean, she won. Vukmir won with 73%. They liked that. The Republicans liked that fighting attitude.
Well, it is the party of Donald Trump, Dom.
It is. There's no going back. This is Trump's party, and Vukmir has fully embraced Donald Trump. She's fully embraced Scott Walker, and apparently this is how you win. You stick your opponent up next to a terrorist. I mean, Hitler and Nazis is so passé. I mean, it's Khalid Sheikh Mohammed now.
And she's your girl.
Leah.
Folks, we are the Devil's Advocates. Do this every weekday, at least when I show up. 3 to 6 p.m. You know you love us. You listen every day. Want to thank our fine guests today. They included Batman Matt Rothschild from the Wisconsin Democracy Campaign and a fine former U.S. Attorney Jim Santelle. He's our Mueller time guy. Dom, never enough time. I had some more Walker bashing in mind, but perhaps...
And I got some more Trump bashing. There's so much we did not get to. You ever hear about that $500 million China dollar that China is contributing to a Trump-linked project? We didn't even talk about that today. Perhaps tomorrow.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
This is what I'm saying.
Come back with us tomorrow. See you on the radio. Have a great night.
Look at that side boob.
She would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
No, sir. I didn't like it.
Be best. Be best. In this hot real estate market, don't pay 5 or 6% commission. With Homeowners Concept Realtors, you pay no more than 3.9% for full service. Homeowners Concept